passion. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the Wake up, let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. Right guys, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I can't start with the basketball, and I probably should start with the tennis because it really was a Sunday that felt like it had gone back in time 30 years, where tennis mattered at the only time that tennis can have the stage to itself. When sports are, sleepy and getting up in the morning, it's mostly soccer and stuff. This used to be a time in this country that on Sunday mornings, what tennis gave you yesterday was a magical thing that went beyond tennis and had Dominique in a place where he's been yesterday, I'm going to say. He's where tennis fans have been for about 30 years. He's on an airplane trying to celebrate with somebody what he's witnessing on television, which is like the height of athletic grace and pressure, not team sports, just people doing something historic. And he wants to celebrate with somebody on the airplane, and there's just one person 6 rows back that's also watching. That's where tennis has lived in the public consciousness for a while, but they gave you an epic one yesterday.
It was incredible, man. Like, the match itself was outstanding, but I think more interesting than that is it took me to a place where I was thinking about how few moments in our lives we actually are in a situation where we're at a fork in the road and know that our performance will determine like the trajectory of our lives. And I'm in that moment thinking it's a 5+ hour tennis match and it's epic. They know it's epic, and they know that the whole world has stopped to watch them play, and they know that this will determine kind of how we'll think about them and how their careers go forward. And they seem to have separated themselves from the pack. So this is going to be a rivalry that goes on for a long time. It's taken on from the big 3 to the big 2. But just thinking about that, and I started going back through my life trying to think of moments where I was like, man, I woke up and was like, whatever happens today will determine how the rest of my life goes. And we just don't have those moments much. And that's why I love sports so much. And it feels like the only time you see that it's like movies and TV shows where you're like, hey, this is going to determine how everything else goes from here. And we had that yesterday.
Sports are great. And I want to get back to all of that because I really do believe that yesterday it can be inspirational, right? When you see all this stuff distilled and it's not team sports and it's just 2 people fighting. And it's 5 hours of will and they're living and dying with it, and they care as much as you do, and they know they're in the middle of something historic. And both matches were good yesterday. Both matches were or this weekend were good. But I want to start with the hockey because, of course, overtime is the best thing, and double overtime is better than that. And Roy, I will not hear that you were not scared.
I wasn't.
Roy. Liar. Roy, there's just you are lying. You are lying. In fact, hold on a second.
No.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Yo, chicken time.
It's double overtime. You're gonna go down 0-2.
You were next to Dorky, and also you smiled when you said no. It's a towel.
Yeah,
Roy,
like hockey. Such a lie. You can't. That's the scariest. That's the scariest it's been in 3 years. No. That right there. What have you had a worse feeling as a Panther fan than I know my team is good enough, but we could get killed here by random?
In the last 3 years, yeah. I mean, being down 3-1 to Boston, that Brad Marchand breakaway that doesn't go in the net, and then you need Montour to equalize with less than a minute left. I'd say I was pretty nervous against Toronto when they were down 2-0, and then they went down 2 goals in Game 3 and needed to come back.
No one here showed public fear there. That was not something that made an appearance here. You guys have been all bravado. We got the best team. This is the best team, but you know you're up against something that can beat you in overtime and double overtime, can come back from 3-1. You're scared of it. You respect it plenty because you know how good it is, and that goal. I want to play 4 goal calls, 4 languages, but I did hear on one of the replays, one of the radio announcers was calling on the Marchand goal. He actually said, "Can't get the shot off," is how he started it. And then the next thing you hear is, that's a goal. The game is over. And what sweeps through South Florida is you go from fear to exhilaration. You go from down 0-2 to now you can have home ice. And let's play these goal calls one after another.
Attention, Marchand qui va s'échapper. Marchand avance, la fin. Il a vu. Marchand, le héros de ce match numéro 2. Et les Panthers vont rentrer en Floride avec une égalité de 1-1 dans cette finale de la Coupe Stanley. Le 5e but gagnant en prolongation de la carrière de Brad Marchand en série.
That's why we started with that one. We're going to build up.
Kind of underwhelming.
When did it go in? Like, I had
A
no
real
idea.
surprise judgment from Roy there to go French first for some reason. To
French
hit the
Canadian.
French,
It's a build up.
Okay.
I would only assume it's a build
Start
up.
with Canada.
Roy, I
Right.
like that.
Okay. I think it's a not great judgment. But what are you going to give us now? English or a different language?
This is French.
Match 2, et là, tiens, c'est comme tout proche de l'être, attention, parce qu'il y a Brad Marchand désormais, Brad Marchand, de la part, c'est au fond, et c'est Brad Marchand, le héros du match 2 pour les Panthers qui égalise un partout dans cette série. Incroyable, Brad Marchand, son doublé pour lui ce soir.
Yeah, parlez-vous. Oui-ouis, bonbons, and all that good stuff.
We are building up. That one was better.
Oui was your contribution. So
man.
we've started with 2 French goal calls. Again, when I was listening, that broadcaster absolutely went home kicking himself because the beginning of the call was Marchand can't get the shot off.
It was a tricky goal. I mean, Draisaitl did lift the stick a little bit. It kind of just slid in.
Okay, but just so people understand the tempest of this, if you do not care about hockey, you've got your heart in your face the entire 2 periods. You're just terrified, and they've got the fastest guys. They've got the people who could score fastest, and you're great at defense. But
Also, it should go without saying, and it has so far, but for those that didn't watch the game, Edmonton equalized that game with 17 seconds left.
Yes.
Well,
So you're carrying that with you.
Thank you. So the team that's the clutchiest in the clutch, 3rd period, they always win it. That's their signature thing. Paul Maurice, undefeated on the road, undefeated in the playoffs if he leads after 1 or 2 or at 1 or 2, and then definitely after 3. They come back on you twice because it doesn't matter, and now with 17 seconds left in the game. Your heart is in your throat the rest of the time, and what happens is, as Edmonton can flog you and you're already tired because it's hard to play against them because it's 46 shots in the last game and you got the weight of Edmonton on you and you're a champion. And this is hard. And you have to get Marchand and you have to do trade deadline things so that you've got more reinforcements because this is the toughest trophy to win. Everybody knows that this is the toughest trophy to win by reputation.
I know that hockey and tennis are very different sports. However, I felt a similar thing while watching the tennis match in that hockey game where it's like the mentality, and sorry to drag us back to this mental part of the game, but in those moments, you're playing for the Stanley Cup, the championship of your sport, like the thing that you want in Dynasty, essentially for Florida, to start kind of accumulating those titles for Dynasty. You have 18 seconds till you have taken home ice advantage and you give up a goal. And the mentality that it requires, you guys should be so proud. Like, I've become somewhat of a Panthers fan
I am proud,
just by
Dominique.
watching this show. And one of the things I know about the Panthers from watching this show and watching more Panthers games is they can ice a game, essentially. And they had that one thing. You always talk about how they can take the ball in the corner and snuff out
It's a
another
puck,
opponent.
but that's all right. We keep it going.
My bad. A puck, you got it. Take it in the corner and snuff out the opponent. And they had that situation to do, and they couldn't do it. And they responded to that by bouncing back. Like, that is so difficult mentally.
Let me just explain.
difficult.
This part is the coolest to me, right?
Yeah.
They're a champion. They're a champion. They're a proven champion, and this is how you defend a title. Edmonton comes at you with those 2 players, and they crush you, steal your soul. 17 seconds left. That's the loudest Edmonton there's been since Gretzky. Like, yes, we can topple these guys. They're the champion. They took it from us. Now we can do to them in these last moments what they thought they were good at. This is how you take it from them. And then what you have in overtime is it goes right from one side to the other. That's not playoff hockey. Playoff hockey is not that wide open. It's not 4 and 5 goals. If the Panthers are going to play Edmonton style and win at that, it's the toughest way to do it. If that's the way they're going to choose, you're going to make Bobrovsky be a lot better than Skinner.
Yeah, you don't want to be in an end-to-end battle with the Edmonton Oilers.
But what I'm saying is, imagine this, Dominique, just the feeling. There's just nothing like it. Nothing like what I'm about to explain to you. It's overtime. It's double overtime. You're terrified. And what's coming at you is historically offensively, it'll flog you. And so back and forth on the ice as fast as it can be, and then Marchand, of all people, wins the game for you.
I'm not a hockey guy, as you could tell by the fact that I called the puck a ball. But that's the wonderful thing about sports in this tennis match, in these hockey games over the weekend, is you don't have to understand the complexity of it. You turn it on and you goddamn feel it. And I felt it watching that game. And to your point, I don't know how. I've been in these high-pressure situations, and I know that there's something that happens in those situations that the momentum and the psychology of it hurts. And so, like, me explaining to you, I know we, pay lip service to it, just be tough. It's really hard to just be tough. I'm not sure how I can create a moment in everyone else's life, but imagine the rent is due and you just don't got it. And that feeling that you have in that moment and how most people will respond to that is like, I don't got it. But somehow they go find that damn rent, and it fires me up.
It can't be overstated that if they lose that game to go down 2-0 in the series, realistically it's over. And don't tell me about Toronto in the last round. This is not Toronto. And Florida hasn't been lights out at home. They're 4-3 at home this postseason.
If we lose that game and then win tonight, we're fine. But yes, it gets scary.
I don't know about that.
You lose that game in that way?
Oh, no, it gets scary. Oh, trust me. I wish I had the security footage of outside the restaurant, the bar I was at, of me just after that goal, the intermission but before overtime, just me aimlessly walking through the parking lot.
I'll back Chris up here. It doesn't feel as over as going down 3-0 to Toronto would have felt, because you still have the 2 home games to hang your hat on. And I know they've been better on the road. They're not a bad team at home. They're still reigning, defending Stanley Cup champions with 2 games at home in front of their home fans to get back into that series. Toronto 3-0 would have felt over.
It would have been scary. I'm not saying it would have been scary, but we've had scary before.
I will tell you
that way?
Historically, in the Stanley Cup final, a 2-0 lead is accentuated. That in the Stanley Cup final is even greater than 2-0 in other rounds. Historically, 91%, you're up 2-0, you're going to win. 91%, 50 out of 55 teams up 2-0 in the final have won. Dare say most of those teams aren't as good as Edmonton. They sure don't have McDavid.
I would say that ostensibly up 2-0 and won that way, where it is that Dominique is talking about how you get debilitated. These teams that are this good do not give away the championship. It must be taken. This team, you know it. When Paul Maurice is saying, this is a life-changing team for me, this is the best thing I've ever seen, hockey guy at his core, and he's saying, this is a life-altering experience for me. To be in the center of this, I've got the best and I know it. And what cometh this way?
Yeah, but the fear...
He respects what that is. He knows it's all of Edmonton. He knows to fear that McDavid, with all of Edmonton on his back, doesn't seize up to the pressure of that, becomes the immortal that we think he is, because that's what the hockey does to these people this time of year. What's available to McDavid right here is everything. Go ahead, Chris. What do you got?
No, I mean, I just think that when this team is playing the way they're playing, the fan base is way more scared than the players are. I agree with you. When they get that goal with 17 seconds left, I am broken. We're all broken as a fan base. But you hear the reports, they go back in the locker room, they're laughing. Kachuk's like, who's going to get it? They're having, maybe it's a coping mechanism, but they're trying to just be relaxed, talking about who's calling out, who's going to get the game-winning goal. So I just feel and that's why they're so great. The fear, the Panthers actually weren't scared in that spot. Unlike I was. I will admit, I was terrified.
I think that the stories that come out are, and I'm not in that locker room, but the stories that come out are different than how they're actually feeling and how I think everyone is actually feeling. I think there are some people that feel that way. But I think the story is a little bit shaded by the result, because if they lose in that situation, no one's like, hey, that's happening. That's happened in a bunch of locker rooms where people thought they were going to come back and they did.
Is he accusing the Panthers of lying, of changing, rewriting the mythology as we go? Is he saying they didn't come back to the locker room laughing? Let's check in on Roy and Dwork and Rose did a live watch of this, and I want you guys to see the Panther fan base is represented by these four people. I heard from sources I will not reveal now, but we will get to over the course of the show, that Ethan was again too chatty on the show, and we're going to have to do that, something about that as a network, I believe. I was told from sources that Roy had to exert a pulling aside of Ethan and telling him to talk less, and it's something I've been wanting to do for a while, so thank you, Roy, for handling that in management in front of people. Ethan,
I overheard, before. I have no idea the context of what you just said, but before the show today, I heard Roy say to Ethan, we have to talk after the show.
I got nervous hearing that.
Look, Ethan talked too much on this, but it's okay. We give away the microphones around here to my lament.
I learned more than I wanted about Ethan this morning.
He talks a lot. Yeah.
That might be later for the show.
Well, I will tell you that I have not yet forgiven Ethan for while I was doing a show introducing Pablo Torre, seeing in our Slack turn up from Ethan the commentary to everybody. Are we just going to bleep off Pablo all show? That Ethan felt, Ethan, go to the penalty box for a while here, because this is retroactive,
retroactive.
Yeah. We've got a penalty, 5 minutes, major asshole.
So he was talking too much during Roy and Dwork and Rose's broadcast, because we give away microphones around here.
Wait, I'm confused. Is he or is he not on the show?
He is on the show. He's the third voice.
I saw a shirt that said Budsky on it.
All right, so he should be talking more like the third voice and less like the first voice. But here's 17 seconds left. I want you to look at here. These are objective journalists, Rose and Dwork and Roy and Ethan, objective journalists. When Edmonton ties the game with 17 seconds left.
Going back to the point. You know that.
Oh, my God, get it out. Oh, my God. The Edmonton Oilers have tied this game at 4.
Wow.
And we are going to go into overtime.
Oh, my God, dude. This is like a team of destiny. Holy.
Corey Perry has tied this game at 4 with 17 seconds left in regulation.
40-year-old man.
Well, now I get to rewrite my game story.
I love how Roy just kind of talks like his tweets.
Well, he stayed in broadcast. Look.
He doesn't want to show us the feelings.
No, that was like Cronkite delivering you news of the equalizer.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to play all of this again because Roy met the moment by absolutely delivering the news poignantly as what happened around him. The visuals of this would have been the same if a landmine had gone off underneath Roy, because Rose and Ethan
just walk away.
I've never seen Ethan get that far from a microphone that fast. Like, he likes being near microphones, but this tore apart the Panther fan base. To have it, look, guys, if you lose those two games that way and know how good Edmonton is, I'm not going to say you guys bow, but you'd certainly be expecting to lose at that point.
Yeah.
No, we know we have a game 3 that's a must-win. That's the way I would look at it.
I would be like, that's hard to come back from, and you'd be telling yourself Edmonton's better.
It's that way of it. They're beating you.
It was brutal. You're right.
No, but they're beating you at your stuff. Like when they're better than you, like you get a shorthanded goal. You need a shorthanded goal to beat them.
I would think high-scoring games, we're actually beating them at their game, I would argue. Our game is more 2-1.
I know, but I'm saying you would have lost both games their way. And they would have taken from you at the end the thing that you do best because you couldn't get them to play your way. Like, the thing that the Panthers do is they inflict those third periods on people.
Can we get back to Roy delivering the news?
Yes. Let's play this sound so that you can see where Rose and Ethan end up.
Oh, Marchand! Oh, breakaway!
The guys who went up.
Back. I don't care about the joy. I want the tears.
Get their happiness out of my face.
Stop it. Bring it down. Bring it down.
Yeah, that's
Bring it
not
down.
the one that I wanted.
I need the
wanted
one that Roy
from
says
before.
courage afterwards.
So yes.
Guys, when we say replay, it means we want to play the one we just played.
That's Dan Rather. Good note, Chris. Good note. Yes, that is what it means.
There was a 10-minute meeting after the show about communication. I said it in the open mics.
Yes, just barked it as an instruction to the other room.
Barky.
Alexander barked it.
Shirt Tuesday.
Holy shirt. No holes.
Oh, come on, man.
That's harsh judging right there.
Holy shirt.
I want to appeal that ruling.
You think holy shirt deserved something there?
Yeah. Well, Alexander, whatever I said, barked.
Bark.
Whatever you
Barked
said.
it.
Such a good,
He said
memorable
barked it.
line that it's whatever I said.
There are so many good memorable lines. It's tough to catalog them.
Dominique, do you see the
Nile? Yes, I do see the Nile.
on your glasses, Greg?
Yeah, I know. They were poorly fit. I'm not going to name my optometrists right now, but
Name them.
these were poorly
Killicuddy.
fit. I think when they go on, I think they're naturally too close to my skull.
They've been consistently smoking up. They're fogging.
You know what? I have a good excuse built into anything that goes wrong this show because I'm tired. I'm in the middle of a long, grueling hockey playoff. I don't think I've written anything but Panthers for it feels like 2 months. It's probably been a couple of weeks at least. And it makes me weary. It does. But exhilarated. You understand that feeling.
But
That's when you used to work for a living?
Okay, look, but so this was interesting though on the flight that Dominique took in. When Dominique is flying in and he's trying to enjoy the majesty of sports, this is somebody who still is following these things in a way that hasn't been for 50 years. That can be exhausting to lifetime people who have been running back and forth to arenas for. I don't know how many years, but this is where the media gets old. Like this is where the voices, the voices that are 50 through 70, that are sort of tired of sports and can't be inspired by what it is that is presently in the middle of it. You're speaking to the exhilaration of it. It's what keeps you coming in, but you're also tired.
Right. No, I know that, but you know what wakes you up and invigorates you and makes you the opposite of tired is when you watch a Marchand goal in double overtime and you instantly realize you've just seen something epic. You've just seen something that's going to be memorable, that's going to have a place in Florida Panthers history. And that's pretty exciting. You know, it's great. And I still say that if they lose that game and they're down 2-0, nobody, not even the fans with their face painted throwing rats, nobody thinks realistically that they're going to win that series.
That's so funny you say that because I would bet that you would have written that column that they're still in it because you have to just hold the McOverrated line. Like it's your last hope of just holding that.
Okay, look, he hasn't won a Stanley Cup yet, so officially he's still McOverrated.
How did you feel when he had that power play assist? It's one of the nicest plays I've ever seen in hockey.
It was magical. He slalomed past Barkov and Ekblad,
our best defenders,
and left them like turnstiles.
Yes,
it was incredible.
Yes, he's ridiculously good.
But like right there,
It
did
was
you kind of have a
incredible.
moment of, oh,
No, because I'd seen it before, and I'll see it again. And yeah, I had, and I know how good he is. Too good to never have won a Stanley Cup. That's how. I just had a colonoscopy. I had no polyps. I have the same number of polyps as McDavid does Stanley Cups.
well, that was the
I
clip
can't help
we were
that.
going to play from your with White Hat.
Good one.
Oh, yeah. I ate White Hat. I gutted him like a fish on my podcast.
All right, hold on a minute. We've just arrived at the most self-absorbed part of Shirt Tuesday. Holy Shirt Tuesday. Hold on, because you mentioned, look, Chris.
I forget his name. White Hat.
Will you stop?
Greg, you're inside here on a rivalry that's very important to you, but I need to explain to the entirety of the audience because they may not know.
Okay, I just remembered his name. It's Pete Cockburn.
Blackburn.
Blackburn? Okay, my bad. I'm sorry.
But he's a senile old man.
Honest mistake. In the dead of night, take these broken wings and learn to fly.
You didn't say the Blackburn part.
Blackburn singing. I thought it was obvious.
But he's a senile old man.
Do it with Cockburn.
Yeah,
instead.
I showed him. I ate him for lunch.
So he says he gutted him like a fish and then throws out a cockburn for everyone to enjoy.
See, you're ruining some of the comedy. He said, I got in him like a fish. Get it right. Everything that he said is comedic genius.
Got in him? I thought he said, I gutted him like a fish.
Oh,
That's
I thought
what
he
I
said.
heard.
Oh, apologies. About
I definitely heard cockburn.
That I heard.
Senile old man.
So can I explain to the audience what just happened?
Please, yeah.
You're feuding with another podcast because they call you a senile old man.
Yeah, well, White Hat did. The other guy was pretty complimentary.
But he's a senile old man.
Yeah, fine. Keep playing that.
Okay, but hold on.
Okay.
But he's a senile old man.
So,
right,
Roy, I need to get back to you. Have you gotten video shipshape, please? Have you gotten video shipshape so that I can get back to you being crestfallen Cronkite? You were delivering war news. You were delivering Chris noted duly, okay? There will be no better moment than this, even the one we've already spoiled by showing you the game-winning goal. Roy meeting the moment with the urgency of telling everybody what the news is of what just happened as his teammates make clear what just happened, which isn't an apocalypse. What has happened is 17 seconds left. We're no longer friends. This is how friends would come apart in the movies if they didn't want to be around each other because something terrible had happened. And Roy rose to the moment and summoned his best crestfallen Cronkite.
Going back to the point. You know that.
Oh, my God, get it out. Oh, my God. The Edmonton Oilers have tied this game at 4.
Wow.
And we are going to go into overtime.
Oh, you say it, Roy. Say it.
Oh, my God, dude. This is like a team of destiny. Holy.
Corey Perry has tied this game at 4 with 17 seconds left in regulation.
And that's the way it is.
Oh, my God.
Roy, it is so good, but it's also good because you're so professional in that moment while everything around you is crestfallen that I don't believe that people understand how flim-flam, flip-flop Dwork is. That in the middle of that, he's like, oh, shit, team of destiny. Yeah. Like, he gave them the entire game there. It wasn't even tied anymore.
Oh, everyone was saying that in that moment.
I was saying worse.
Yeah, it's their time.
I was like, check, please.
It's just their time.
Wait a minute, which is it? It can't be all those things.
No, that's exactly.
17 seconds left?
Yeah, with 17 seconds left after you lost game 1 in overtime, you're like, okay, it's just their time. And that's a perfectly rational way to behave.
Okay, you say that, but how about what Dominique is saying about the idea of they know that's what they're under and they're like, bleep off. We laugh in the face of this. We laugh in the face of, no, you're going to write us off like that? That's why we're stronger than our fan base because we're in the war. We're in the middle of it.
Not the whole fan base. They're not stronger than Roy. Because Roy looked at that and said, it is a date which will live in infamy, but we are coming back, baby. And that's why Roy, I feel differently about all of this now because I didn't realize that people like that walk among us. Roy is ice water. I know that if somebody came up in here, I don't give a damn who you got on security. Roy is going to save us all.
When he fixed his posture and then adjusted the headset mic to meet the moment, I felt that.
I see it in his face because, like, right when the goal happens, his eyes get big and you can see it. And then he has a moment of, got to be a journalist here.
All right, so I'm going to explain, please, one more time I want to play this. See if video. This is the same video I want to play again. I don't want to play the video of them winning the winning goal. The same video.
Replay.
So I want you not just to watch everything here. Rose and Ethan leave the proceedings because this is crushing. Like this is one of those pains that you'd remember for a long time. 17 seconds is a number that would get etched in that moment for Panther fans because, that's where they took it. 17 seconds left. They took our thing from us. We snuff you out at the end of games. And Roy is not just a war correspondent here. He's also reporting from where the Hindenburg has crashed. And what he does in
there are bodies everywhere.
This is right. No, and so
humanity.
For some reason, correct. For some reason, gunfire has broken out somewhere around here. I don't say that flippantly. That's an actual danger these days. But in this particular context, he's a war correspondent. And what he does with his headset here is he gets into position because this is the moment of Roy's life.
Going back to the point. You know that.
Oh, my God, get it out. Oh, my God. The Edmonton Oilers have tied this game at 4.
Wow.
And we are going to go into overtime.
Oh my God, dude. This is like a team of destiny. Holy shit.
Team of destiny.
Corey Perry has tied this game at 4.
I wish he had glasses to take off. He would have driven the point home that President Kennedy has died at 1 p.m. Central Time.
I think I found a new moment. We might have to watch it again or try to freeze it, but I don't think you recognize that the serial killer that Roy is, he smiled a little bit. Watch it again. I promise you there's a smirk. I promise you there's a smirk.
He laughed at death?
He doesn't know what to do with his face.
Replay. I want a replay, please.
It's the same clip.
Going back to the point. You know that.
Watch the smiles coming.
Oh, my God. Get it out. Oh, my God. The Edmonton Oilers have tied this game at 4.
Wow.
There it is.
There it is.
He smiled.
There it is.
He looked death in the eye
what was
and
that?
smiled.
Hey, here it comes. Look.
Yeah. I got him. Oh, my God.
You're sick.
Roy, you sicko.
I believe you now. I thought it was all an act.
That is playoff hockey right there.
He's so happy.
Torque is not ready for it. Rose is clearly not ready for it. Ethan's not ready for it, but Roy is
Grizzled
smiling
vet
at
right
death.
there.
Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
To smile?
He don't want it. He don't want it the easy way.
What a catch by
He
Dominique.
got excited because he was like, hey. now we
Roy,
can do it the
play
hard
for
way.
me in Spanish, please, before we get to the goal call where all of you celebrated. Play for me the Spanish goal call of the Marchand goal.
Viene el bastonazo. Y aquí vienen las Panteras ahora. Otra vez Marchand.
We do it better.
It's the go-to.
We do it better, Tony.
See, now I know who scored.
So much better than the French.
¡Lo ganaron las Panteras! ¡Lo ganaron las Panteras! ¡Lo ganaron las Panteras! ¡Silencio
Panthers won, Panthers won.
I think he's saying
sepulcral!
pants.
En el
Panteras,
Rogers Place lo hizo Brad Marchand. Quedó mano a mano y definió. Con ustedes la
Miércoles.
figura de la noche, coach.
Shirt Tuesday.
See, now,
Pantalones.
pantalones
Now I know.
miércoles.
Pantalones on a Shirt Tuesday. Tony, Spanish is a better language than French.
It's better. It's far superior.
Put
Dan.
it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. We played 2 French goal calls. They both kind of stunk, and we didn't know what had happened.
We don't know when the puck goes in the in the net.
Yeah,
in the
sorry
crease.
that they don't yell, goal!
Yes.
Like, that's the only reason we know.
They can do
like,
something. Can we play the French Canadian one again? It was terrible.
I'm French-Canadian. Play the French
That one sucked.
Guys, it was plenty confusing to those watching and listening to English. It was a weird goal.
Agreed, but
Kenny
there was-
Albert's like, it's not in. Oh, it's in.
Yes,
I don't think he said it's it.
Kenny Albert said that?
and he didn't hit his microphone when he said it either with his left fist either.
Cole missed the net. Ahead for Marchand. Moving in on Skinner. Marchand it's in. He scores. Marchand wins game 2 for the Panthers in double overtime.
And Marchand's mom in the middle of Edmonton there, like just taunting people.
I mean, the Spanish one has a
Far
climax.
superior. Far
none,
superior.
None of them climax like the Spanish.
It's
speaking one.
it's so much
One
better.
note,
No.
these Spanish goal calls, every
All right.
sport.
Yeah,
right?
Whoa.
you can't steal the soccer
We
goal
got
call.
it.
You can't steal that.
Okay, look, you make fun of it all you want. Okay, make fun of it all you want.
loved it.
There was no confusion in the Spanish telling of this tale. Okay, so you go ahead and tell me how much better French and English are, but when the Spanish do it, this is the correct call, no argument.
Viene el bastonazo. Y aquí vienen las Panteras ahora. Otra vez Marchand. Brad Marchand. ¡Gol! ¡De las Panteras! ¡De las Panteras! ¡Lo ganaron las Panteras! ¡Lo ganaron las Panteras! ¡Lo ganaron las Panteras! ¡Silencio sepulcral! En el Rogers Place lo hizo Brad Marchand. Quedó mano a mano y definió. Con ustedes la figura de la noche, coach.
Tony, because our language is the superior language, again, I want to put it on the poll at Le Batard Show, better language, Spanish or French. I would like for you to translate for the people because it can sound like pantalones and it can sound, if you don't know Spanish, I would like for you to translate for people.
So I think the important things to know is some of the key words that are being said. So when you hear them, you already know what the reference point is. So pantera is panther in Spanish. So that's what we have. Where
Not pants.
Not pants for whites.
That is a cute little nickname that the Panthers have. Occasionally people call them the Pants, and I always pop for that. Let's go, Pants.
Yeah.
Regardless, what Tony, the call after the sing-song of he's made it plain. You have 5 straight calls sing-song on the Panthers. The Panthers have won.
Panthers have won it.
There's no confusion about is Marchand, did he get the shot off? There's none of that.
No, you could not know Spanish and listen to all those goal calls and come away with the clearest idea of what happened by listening to the Spanish call.
Here they go on the ice. Marchand. He scored! Goal! Panthers win it! The Panthers! They won it, the Panthers! The Panthers won! They won, the Panthers won! Silence is everywhere in Edmonton. He did it, Brian Marchand did it!
That's what I loved was silence is everywhere.
Incredible.
Again, nobody said that in any other language. The Spanish paint it so beautifully, so perfectly. I didn't hear Edmonton was quiet from any other language.
I mean, what other languages do you speak?
English.
So the French one, you wouldn't have heard it.
They didn't say. I can guarantee
the
that.
French
Silence
one,
is everywhere.
The French, it did feel like the guy had a cigarette the whole time. Like he was just chilling. He just had a drink.
I thought the emotion of our people is on display here, but how about the emotion of our Meadowlark people? You can now video play the
happy goal call.
The happy goal call. This is not the rerun. This is Roy. What kind of broadcaster was Roy at a time where objectivity was needed?
Oh, Marchand! Breakaway! Panthers win!
I'm getting buried.
Still
can't even hear him.
broadcasting. He is a war correspondent, surrounded by debauchery and fools. Look at him, tolerating fools and incompetence, carrying his teammates to glory. Is that Cynthia?
Cynthia goes over just to shake Roy. Like, Roy, this is something.
Roy, some life. Roy, have an emotion.
If you notice.
That was fake.
Did I hear someone say Mike is a rat?
Mike is a rat? Is that Ethan? Whoa! Is that Ethan? That Ethan again?
This episode is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Chris Cody, I don't know how you guys feel about the folks like Ethan or, for example, Jason, the director Jason. He has suggested that this not be a Shirt Tuesday. He has suggested that because Mike Ryan is jealous of Billy Gill's Wild Willie Wednesdays, that Mike Ryan should have his own branding on Mondays. And Jason came to me today, he's never done this before, and said, I have my own branding. Can you put that up somewhere, Jason? Can you put that up so that Mike can see that we now have mild Mike Ryan Mondays or whatever it is that your branding was for this segment? Not the hockey show.
Guess everyone's an idea man now.
Yeah, we'll get back to that in a second.
It looks
there it
good.
is. There
It
it
looks
is.
good.
There it is. It's a bit of beef jerky of some sort, and it's mild Mike Monday. And this was Jason's idea, everybody. Jason's idea.
I see what they're going for with that sauce packet. I won't say the name of the company.
How are you liking that, Mike?
We all know what company he's going for there.
Is that the branding you want, Mike? Jason was working on it all weekend.
I don't like it.
Okay.
Yeah, so
so
much for
we
that.
won't do that.
No.
Billy doesn't like Wild
Yeah.
Wednesday. We can't win around
No,
here.
he approached me after the last Wild Willie Wednesday. He's like, "Hey, I know they were joking about it, but I'd really like to do this for you." I'm like, "No, thanks. I'm good. I don't."
Above and beyond. He
I
did
said-
it anyway.
He's like, "No." So
I don't get like Manic Mike Monday would be something.
I don't
but-
want a day.
But mild Mike, like why
Good.
mild Mike Monday?
I think because he's trying to go the opposite of wacky.
I'm good. I don't need a day. Thank you.
Cut to Jason. Take 3.
Today's a good day to listen to me. Take it off. Just take it down, please.
I like it.
Thank you.
It's growing on me.
So we will get back at some point to mild Mike Monday, but right
Clear
now
it.
it's shirt.
I mean, you guys haven't been listening today. Clear it.
Right now it's Shirt Tuesday. Greg Cody, I want to just marvel at Roy. You guys did understand. You guys saw that in the second clip that we played, Roy never stopped talking and you heard not one single word that he said. Roy was trying to broadcast through the delirium. And Roy, did you get a word off that anyone heard? A word.
I don't think I heard myself. It was so loud in there.
Okay, but so what got achieved there?
Probably nothing. You get the ambiance of the place that we're in is the Dead Flamingo, formerly known as Casa Tiki. Thank you for housing us for the live stream. But it was loud. It was I just could not hear myself talk.
Roy, that's where you got to lay out the great broadcasters. Let the crowd tell the story, right? All of a sudden, you hear the roar of the crowd. Once it simmers down, all of a sudden, Brad Marchand scores.
Well, I'm no Doc Emmerich, so yeah, you're right.
But how does this work, though? Has Casa Tiki or the Dead Flamingo ever had quite this much hockey in its bones?
No, I don't think so. But I was watching videos. I don't think I've ever seen so much ass being thrown.
Place
at
was
Panther.
electric.
There was a lot of ass being
There's
thrown.
nothing like the Dead Flamingo on a Friday
Roy
night,
was throwing
baby.
ass. It was crazy.
Trust me.
Wait a minute. Ass was being thrown?
Yeah, Roy was throwing ass.
I thought that the Panthers took ass. That's what Zaslow told me.
I don't want to.
We've covered this on Mystery Crate. Roy doesn't wear a wedding ring, so you get confusing out here sometimes for the ladies.
Roy doesn't wear a wedding ring?
It was stolen.
That's what he says.
How long ago?
But
The wedding day.
But you should see him out in the wild.
When did you get married?
I don't know. 2014?
We've done this story before on the show and on Mystery Crate, but we can rehash.
You can't
if
go
you guys
get
would
another
like.
one. It's only one. Only one. I'm with you, Roy. I feel you, dog.
15 years.
Yeah, you don't need it.
Yeah, that's true. I don't need it. Yeah,
don't need
that's absolutely true.
I bring that up to say sometimes on a Friday night when Roy's out, people get confused.
Start throwing it.
Chris, just so that you understand, okay? Even though the story's been told by Roy twice, to some it might be a new story that he had his wedding ring stolen on his wedding day, perhaps not to just be skipped right past, because it does make us want to ask follow-up questions, right? Like on your wedding day, I'm guessing you immediately get in trouble with your wife.
No, because her ring got stolen as well, and my ring got stolen. Apparently, I was followed home, and she was followed home the night before the wedding, and somebody broke into our cars.
Because we were all at this wedding, and if you guys all remember, it took a while to start. And it was because they were looking for rings.
It's a horrible story.
It really is.
Truly horrible.
Awful.
And he's been married for like 9 years.
Truly.
Just like, it got stolen 9 years ago.
It's kind of beautiful in a way. It's like it's the material things of the world don't matter. They got married, and I don't know what they used in substitute for a ring, but it could be a really beautiful story.
Well,
and that's why you don't replace it, because nothing matters to their relationship other than them, Roy.
There
I'm
is
fighting for you, baby, because you're in a bad way. With
come on, man.
Tough spot.
I'm fighting for you, baby.
Well, I did go to the Walmart next to Hard Rock Stadium and bought a replacement ring for real cheap.
It's where you go.
Okay, that just hurt my heart. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. No, I don't want to be classist about this. And I don't want to be elitist about this. Okay, but I just don't think Walmart with engagement rings, and I may have this wrong. This may be just I haven't been in Walmart in a while, so I don't know what their jewelry situation is.
You asked like a cashier, like, where are your wedding rings at?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
So forgive me. Do I have this wrong when I ask the question legitimately of if your wedding day has your wedding ring stolen and then you have to go to Walmart to get replacement
That's good luck,
rings,
they say.
That sentence is good luck?
Yeah.
That sentence I just said is good luck.
Well, I've been married for 10 years, so.
Oh, happy anniversary, Roy.
Thank you.
So she wears a ring, but you don't.
Correct. I've asked her, hey, maybe I should get a wedding band. I asked her this like 3 or 4 times in 10 years. I'm like, no, doesn't matter.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. I don't wear a wedding ring. What's the big deal about a wedding ring? I need a reminder that I'm married.
And you're fighting them off too, though.
It's the public show of your taking.
His narcissism runs so deep on love. He thinks the ring is the reminder that he's in love.
I mean, why do you wear a wedding ring? I'm asking all my fellow married people out there.
Because you're taken, you're not available.
My wife really likes it.
On Friday at Casa Tiki or at the Dead Flamingo.
My wife really likes it.
When ass is being launched from my trapeze across the floor. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
is a little reminder. If ass gets launched, you catch the ass, and then you feel something. Not only do you feel the ass that you caught, but you feel a little ring that says, hey, why'd you throw that ass back?
I'd like to know, again, whether Latin hockey is now a thing in the depths of Dade, South Florida, when Roy can't be heard because at a place I associate with Latin, the place is paying enough attention to what would normally be a soccer game to hockey for me not to be able to hear Walter Cronkite over here delivering the news.
Oh, Marchand! Marchand! Breakaway!
You heard Ethan, though.
Why can't we hear anything he's saying?
I love that Cynthia, like 40 seconds in there, just
Narman,
gives to Roy, Roy, something good happened. Wake up.
Meadowlark Media, somebody, I'm imploring you, stop Ethan now. If you guys let this keep going, it won't get better. It won't get better when he's around microphones. Roy is trying to speak and I can't hear him, but Ethan mics work fine. And that's exactly where our show gets torn apart, soap opera style, because the third voice comes for the first voice, and it gets cutthroat. I've heard Ethan's opinions on hockey more than anyone here. God Almighty, does Ethan want his opinions heard on hockey?
I got to defend Ethan. In that moment, you want chaos. You want screaming. Like, you don't want just laying out for Roy.
Roy was trying to broadcast, and Roy was. What? I couldn't hear Roy. You couldn't hear
fair.
Roy.
At one point, I hear game 2. I hear Roy say at one point.
Anyway, moving on to other things. I've moved too far away from Greg Cody's feud with White Hat. It's the most attention I've gotten from him in about 6 months because he wants to go right back at White Hat because it allows him to promote his podcast and delve into his every narcissism because he's got a feud. And this hockey final has felt less good than the last one when he inserted himself in the middle of the final with McDavid is overrated.
Yeah.
So he's holding on to the embers of this particular feud to broadcast to promote your podcast with your feud with White Hat that I was told by Chris I would find disappointing. That I would find your feud with White Hat to have died a little bit on your podcast.
I would say that because Dan, Dan, he likes to, when he gets people like, hey, like you guys were, they both said things. That's a good point, Greg. There was a lot of, I see your side of it type stuff.
Look, they were cowards. The What Chaos podcast, they were cowards by not inviting me on to defend myself. So being the bigger man, I invited White Hat onto my podcast in the episode that dropped today, and we had a conversation. I think at one point he did reluctantly apologize for having called me senile.
I mean, you also praised Connor McDavid, so you guys were both kind of like, I see your side a little bit.
Yeah, I praised Connor McDavid like I always do as a prerequisite for saying, but he's still McOverrated and will be until he wins the Stanley Cup. Has he won the Stanley Cup yet? No, I don't think so.
It's so great. Him being defiantly stubborn on, well, my point's not wrong yet.
No, it isn't.
And
as a matter of fact, it's righter and righter with every step he takes closer to not winning again. But now, had they lost the other night and they're down 2-0, I might not be quite as loud on the subject today, to be perfectly
The one
frank.
thing I do want to play from this was our promo video that we put out. I guess Yeti did this this was a good job by Yeti, without even talking to me. He had my dad, hey, go in the garage, do some promo talk. I'm going to put together a thing. So I want to play our promo video for White Hat versus Senile Old Man, and I want you to tell me how many beers my dad's had.
That kind of thing. He wanted to have this guy on the show, and respectfully, that kind of thing. I would have put 2 forks through my eyeballs.
Pete Blackburn, it is time to dance to the music. You went on your podcast and called me a senile old man.
But he's a senile old man.
Okay, you know what? Because you didn't have the nerve to have me on your podcast to respond to that.
And I would have put forks in my eyeballs and spoons straight through my ears.
So, here's what happened. I demanded that you be on my podcast to dance to the music. Dance to the music. And that's happening when we drop Monday morning. Will you apologize? I doubt it, but let's find out.
It's a good promo.
Great job by Yeti.
Yeah,
It was
good
a good
stuff.
job.
Your tongue is pretty heavy.
That was great.
That part's great. Blackbird singing.
I am mortified by the shape of your garage. What the area you're prowling around
Exposed
with,
brick back there.
It's so disgusting.
I know the door could use a paint job.
No, I need
That
to,
door, the
no,
paint
this
has been
is-
coming
that
off
door,
that door.
No, that door has looked like that for 30 years.
That's a door?
That
Yeah. David Dorr. Roy's
you
Thank you
have to
clarifying.
explain it. If you have to explain it, David Dorr, Roy's. No, you can't. It can't be. You have to explain it.
That is a bad door.
Greg, how are you not embarrassed by this?
Yeah.
Chris, how many beers had he had when he did this promo?
I don't know.
Why would he even say that? Was I slurring my words?
A little bit, yeah. Your
That
tongue was
kind of
heavy.
thing.
All right, let's watch this again. This wrestling promo. This is the height of it. It doesn't get
door.
better than this. But just look at the whole garage. Do me this favor, okay? Try not to be distracted by his bloated, drunk face and his just general narcissism.
He's not denying it. He just sat back and took that
Dad,
accusation.
did he have you do that yesterday afternoon?
Greg, how many
Hammered.
beers? How many beers?
My man.
How many beers
I
in?
can't remember. I don't
Okay.
keep track.
All right.
What about my wife?
That kind of thing. I wanted to have this guy on the show, and respectfully, that kind of thing. I would have put 2
Terrifying.
forks through my eyeballs.
Pete Blackburn, it is time to dance
That's the
to
office.
the music. You went on
the
your
office. Oh, is
podcast
that the garage? That's the garage.
and called me a senile old man.
But he's a senile old man.
Okay, you know what? Because you didn't have the nerve to have me on your podcast to respond to that.
And I would have put forks in my eyeballs and spoons straight through my ears.
So, here's what happened. I demanded that you be on my podcast to dance to the music. Dance to the music. And that's happening when we drop Monday morning.
Tony.
Will you apologize? I doubt it, but let's find out. Blackburn singing in the dead of night.
That part made me laugh out loud.
That door looks like it's out of the original Saw movie.
I was thinking the same exact thing.
That is a place where people are tortured and die horrible deaths, nothing but suffering till the very end.
His face is terrifying when he says that kind of thing. Imagine him leaning over you like,
everything happening there is haunting. Connor McDavid's dad should be fearful that cometh his way.
This is my dad in a nutshell. It's a horrific looking door,
Yes.
and then Wild Bill Cody's cane.
That's right.
Paying
There-
homage to his
There it
father
is.
right above
I
it.
want you guys to enjoy the celebration. There it is. Cody in all his power. 7 beers in on a Sunday afternoon.
Pretty good guess.
7, 8 beers in. That door, tell me it's not out of the movie Saw. Can you show me or play for me any of the podcasts, Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody, his feud with the White Hat?
I just can't still get over the fact that Greg, while being accused of being a senile old man earlier this week, started this episode talking about a colonoscopy. I still can't get over that.
I'm not pandering to anybody. You know, I'm talking about what goes on in my life. The photos of my colon.
Okay, we don't need to get into
You,
it.
need,
Thank you.
you need to put those in a frame in the Louvre. That's how wonderful my colon is. How many polyps? I had as many polyps as McDavid has Stanley Cups. None.
Joke again.
Okay? That's what I want to say. Okay, and I don't mean to rub that in, White Hat.
We just kept calling him White Hat the whole episode.
I couldn't remember his name.
You think the joke is so good about having as many championships as you have polyps that you should
it's a
make
good
it?
line. It's good. Yeah, no, it's really good. It's strong.
Strong
Yeah,
line.
It's
I mean,
strong.
that number is 3.
I mean, most people have a couple of polyps, to be honest with you. I'm a 70-year-old man.
Do you know that?
I have a beautiful colon.
I'm going to take your word for it.
Yeah.
I had as many polyps as McDavid has Stanley Cups.
It's a fact, Jack, right there.
Oh, you actually got it right. Good job.
Thank you. Thanks, Roy.
Have you guys talked about redoing the door? Like, has there been a conversation about redoing that door?
No, there hasn't.
I know. I like it. Like, it would
Thank
be
you.
weird. This ambiance. It's a garage for a man to be manly
Thank
in
you.
there.
Yes.
Like, it looks, in the picture of him, he looks like a deranged cassowary, and it makes me so happy.
Thank you.
Look at that, man.
I think.
I want to get back to for a moment here because of how much I enjoyed the weekend, just sports being maximum sports, and specifically what tennis does at its best, because there are no teammates in tennis. After 5 hours, no one's coming to help you. You're in a historic match, and it's gonna, you're in what you're in the middle of. And I can tell you the stories back to heavyweight fighting, George Foreman, Muhammad Ali. All of sports leadership throughout time will tell you that the other person wants to quit too. The test of wills that is 5 hours in, you're tired, but you want something just as badly as they do. It stops being physical, becomes some sort of mental, meditative state. And I would assume the very best of the best love it there.
Yeah.
Love it.
We've just been talking about the theater, but there are some people in our audience that are hearing about this match and how good it was via our show. And we must tell the audience that Sinner had triple match point 3 hours into this match, and Alcaraz battled all the way back. In fact, after Alcaraz won in the fifth set, there was a graphic that said time since Jannik Sinner's triple match point. Like, this was an incredible comeback. I understand both people want to quit. One very clearly wanted to quit less, and that was Alcaraz.
Except the thing about it that was so impressive and enjoyable to me is they're both incredible champions that fought back. Because normally in a situation like that, you get like a collapse. There were times, so once Alcaraz fought all the way back and took control of that match, Sinner's limping around, grabbing for cramps, but then retakes the match. And we're like, damn, Alcaraz did all this and he's not going to win. Then Alcaraz takes it all the way back and Sinner's fights back. That's the mental toughness that I was speaking of that's so incredibly impressive. And then it also was made even more enjoyable because of the clash of styles. Like, Sinner's a giant smashing server, power tennis player, and Alcaraz is this ridiculous, like, he has power too, but he's this ridiculous athlete that's twisting the ball on these absurd angles and gets to everything. Like, it's just so fun watching what looks like a wildfire versus a snowstorm, and you don't know who's going to win. And that's the part to me that just got me so like entranced by this game or this match.
I have to say, I have to give a shout-out to Coco Gauff, though. I mean, we're talking about the men's match, and rightfully so. It was a marathon. It was epic. Coco Gauff, who's from around here, lives about 90 miles north of here in Delray Beach. She just won her second major at age 21. She can be what we've been missing since Serena Williams retired. She can be that. I'm not saying she will be, but this is not a false alarm. Coco Gauff is that good. She just beat the world's number one player. It was 2 1-versus-2 matchups this weekend, not just the men.
Yeah, and Gauff, I think she's been on the scene since she was about 14 or 15 years old, and I think we had expectations of her being as good as Serena. And again, I hate to keep harping on this mentality stuff, but particularly in these individual sports, for someone that young to deal with the level of disappointment and frustration that she's dealt with, and we've seen other athletes and tennis players specifically not be able to deal with it. For her to still be around and not have reached this Serena level and still be competitive, and in a match like yesterday or the day before where the wind is blowing, it's a tough situation, and it essentially broke Sabalenka, she still fought through.
I wanted, though, to address what you're saying there, expected to be Serena. Like, that needs to stop. We shouldn't do that to anybody. Like, that's
You really shouldn't do that to anyone.
To anybody.
It's
that's
an unreachable standard.
And
it hurts
Agreed.
WTA. It really does.
I mean, just that can't be it. Like, we're going to go ahead and concede, yes, that's the most powerful force I've ever seen in that sport. Totally changed it in terms of it becoming a power game, because it's not like Sabalenka's not playing power.
No, she's strong.
But I think today's story is going to be, instead of about Gauff overcoming that strength, Sabalenka sore loser. And so now a women's match that pales to the men's match only because the male's match was epic for all time.
Yeah, probably the second greatest
But
men's
no, what
final I've
happens
seen.
is Coco Gauff's winning gets lost in that.
Right, yes.
Like, can't even get out of the tennis thicket of being celebrated the way that it should be for someone who can never and will never be Serena, no matter how much she wins, because that ain't fair to do to anybody.
But to make clear, when I say she can be the next Serena, I don't mean, I'm not counting majors. I don't mean she can win 15, 20 majors. What I mean is I think she has a chance to fill the vacuum and become the acknowledged face of American women's tennis. I think she has that. And you know,
I think she does have it already.
I don't know. Keys, I mean, there's a couple of other women who are in the top 10.
pretty clear. It's Coco. And what was so cool about the French Open, just on both sides, was you had finals 1 versus 2 in each side, which on clay, it's such a variable that is hard to predict, and there's so many specialists that you don't typically get that. And to have 1 versus 2 meet in the final in both sides, and also for those matches to deliver, it was a great weekend for the sport. I also thought Turner knocked it out of the park as a first-time rights holder. They were fantastic.
I think it was a huge victory for golf, and the reason is that she won the 23 U.S. Open, so it's going on 2 years now. When you win one major and you don't win a second one for a couple of years, even though it's just a couple of years, maybe some doubts creep in. So the fact that she won that second major, I think, is huge for
and
her.
Sabalenka was on incredible form. She was absolutely mowing through people, winning tournament after tournament. So for Coco to stand in front of that and take Sabalenka's best shot and make Sabalenka seem like a sore loser, which is also changing the narrative. Remember the Olympic moment that Coco Gauff had where she kind of gave off sore losers. So for her to come out of that and put the shoe on the other foot, and for Sabalenka to have this moment, honestly, it's a little disappointing because I think both are great.
It was big for tennis, too, not just golf.
Oh, yeah.
I mentioned golf?
No.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't you.
It was a great golf weekend as well. Canadian Open.
Was it?
I want to get back to Coco Gauff here, explaining that this trophy is a little small. It's a bit like a water bottle. It is. Yeah, I don't have this wrong, right? That as tennis took over sports for a day, or tried to, around what basketball was doing last night, you had an epic men's match, one that you remember because it's just stretching your day out, your morning out. And then you've got Coco Gauff winning a trophy where she ends up being is she going to be the fourth story? Because Sabalenka's sore loser talk is something that people are going to turn into the story of her winning this tiny water bottle trophy.
Hi, I just won French Open for Roland Garros, and this is the trophy that you guys see, the one that we take pictures with, do press with, and all that. But actually, we don't get to take this home. This stays with the tournament, and I'm going to show you guys the one we take home. It's a lot smaller. So this is the one we take home. It's like a mini replica of the trophy, and yeah, I guess to compare it, it's really small. So reference, this is a Perrier bottle. This is a cup. And that's how small it is. But, it's the memories that matter the most.
French Open not liking that.
Is it the memories that matter most, or do you want some good hardware there? Like, how much is that?
I think it's the prize pool money that matters the most.
Not only is it small, but it sounded flimsy. The way it opened, it sounded like.
But do we know very little about perhaps fine merchandise like this? Is it possible that this is very well made and worth thousands of dollars? It should be, should it not?
It didn't sound like it.
It sounded like 10.
I mean, I'm sure it's pretty valuable because they only give out one every year for each side, so it's probably pretty valuable. It's not something I think you would. Well, I guess to put in a trophy closet is perfect.
I bet you guys could look it up and find out what that is actually worth, because I'm going to guess it's worth thousands of dollars. You guys think it's aluminum or made of tin. You think it's $99. You think you buy it in the same jewelry place that you buy your Walmart engagement stuff.
Out of gift shop.
You think that's $99.99 I can get that trophy if I just go to Amazon?
Right next to the oversized tennis ball.
Does Walmart have a jewelry department?
Yes.
I never knew that.
We already
you sound
did
classist.
this. Yes, I already apologized for this. Where were you?
Well, you also brought it back to it, Dan.
It's in the middle of the store, right behind the registers.
Okay. I was in a Walmart yesterday for the first time in years. Didn't even consider that you could buy a ring there. That's crazy.
Were you not here when we just discussed this?
Did you discuss that Walmart has a jewelry store?
Were you not here?
No, I don't remember that being discussed.
Shirt Tuesday.
I mean, old white hat there. It was on to something.
I don't remember that being discussed. Maybe I was doing show research. Sometimes I do. Sometimes when you say, Greg, quit typing, it's loud, I'm doing show research.
But he's a senile old man.
Okay,
minor penalty, 2 minutes for not listening.
No, replay when that was discussed. I remember him saying that he bought his ring in a Walmart.
Greg, I said I'm going to sound classist and elitist here. I was not aware that they sold engagement rings at Walmart. I said
that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing as asking whether or not they have a jewelry department. You can sell a ring without having an entire department.
Did you not
devoted
hear
to
the
jewelry.
penalty?
No, I hadn't heard that either.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes for not listening.
It's true. You know what? I accept that penalty because I wasn't listening.
Well, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being kind enough to accept the penalty.
The
penalties I don't agree with, but this one I did.
Shirt looks great though, buddy.
the small replica trophy is made of pure silver.
Nice.
Thank you.
So at 14 kilograms of silver, you take the market price in. This is all courtesy of artificial intelligence, by the way.
So it may not be right.
Raw material value of around $11,000 to $14,000, if that is indeed pure silver.
That's not true.
The men take home a similar size trophy, right? Like, I think that's the only way that it would be that it would offend me is if somehow they send
It's 4 times bigger.
Yeah.
Typically, although Nadal did receive a full-size replica in 2017 after winning his 10th, a unique honor.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. You got to get 10.
I'll allow it.
Thank you for allowing it, Chris. I will tell you guys that I got scared there, that all of a sudden, because I don't know the value of or weight of gold or silver, that I have from last week a scar on me from thinking that $1 million worth of gold would weight down a car so much that it couldn't move. And then you guys told me, nah, it's about 9 pounds worth of gold. When it came to silver, I was scared that you were about to say, no, it's made of pure silver, and you can get it for $12 because whatever. I don't know that Nadal's is that size, though. You're telling me, you're saying, I know he got the real one.
Nadal for his 10th,
One
he got
time.
a full-size replica.
The male trophy has to be the same size, does it
Yes.
not? Were you crossing your fingers, Chris?
For us, for all mankind.
In terms of being
Not
a
a
much,
good look.
in terms of being a much smaller replica, yes, that's the case for the men's.
Am I an asshole for, and is Greg an asshole for not knowing that Walmart had a jewelry department?
I think it just shows that you guys don't step in a Walmart.
I mean, it's not a new thing. Like, I feel like Kmart had a jewelry department when I was a kid. Like, the
RIP.
same sort of stores always had a jewelry department.
Walgreens.
I'm not sure that I...
Service merchandise.
Service
Sears.
Mervyn's.
We're in agreement
Outdoors.
that it is a horror story beyond horror stories to have on your wedding day a robbery that steals the ring and then forces you to go to Walmart or anywhere in an emergency to have a part of your wedding day be trying to retrieve something that was stolen from you so that you can have a memory of the day that doesn't feel taken by somebody.
Yeah, my mom blamed me for it.
Going to
While she was
Walmart
in the car.
Going to Walmart just feels rushed. It's not on that. It's not that I'm judging going to Walmart. In that spot, if a ring is stolen, this is a big purchase. All right, we're going to slow down here. We're going to take a beat. We're going to get married, and we'll get a ring at a later date.
Hopefully it was insured. But I might be alone in this and, like, understanding that at that moment it feels terrible. But I kind of think it's a cool story overall. And at the end, it's like when you have this different ring, you're like, hey, let me tell you how this happened.
It's much more exciting than my wedding day story. Yeah. They just were there, and I put them on.
Mine
pretty boring.
Being a victim is exciting, yeah.
You guys are putting a good face on it. Being a victim is
I still have
romantic and
mine.
beautiful sometimes. Dominique did say earlier it's beautiful.
I think it is.
It is memorable. I will give you memorable.
Like, if it were a ring that, like, stood out, was unique in its quality, and people are like, hey, it sparks the story. Like, why does Roy have a lime green plastic ring? Well, let me tell you, Princess Claire, about the day me and your mother got married. It was a harrowing story, but now,
I left my car unlocked.
10 years later, we're still together, and that's all that matters.
But if a wedding ring is indeed a symbol for love and nothing more, the idea that you would have the intimate and violation of having it stolen when symbolically it meant something to you as a gift to your wife that was forever, to have it immediately stolen symbolically. Not beautiful.
I think it's beautiful. We can agree to disagree. We can find, to each their own, I guess.
It's human.
I think it's beautiful.
Greg returns breathless from his penalty with his books in tow and his publicity in tow. The Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody.
I thought you were going to say featuring.
featuring
Yeah,
Greg
twist.
Cody.
Thank
Greg,
you.
Greg
yeah,
Cody
there you go.
Finally, you
featuring
got
Greg
learned.
Cody. We have more sound from his beef that went polite with Whitehead. It seems like we're stealing all the material and not giving anybody any reason to go check out his podcast.
Oh, there's plenty more in there, believe me.
We don't have another clip. We had the promo wrestling video where he's hammered, and we had the one that he's.
All right, so
wasn't
we
hammered.
agree that he's.
No, I wasn't hammered. I play along.
Yeah.
You know, when people say things like that, what am I going to do? Argue? I wasn't hammered. Okay.
The NBA Finals last night corrected themselves, and I would have said after how amazing Game 1 was that I would assume that what will happen after that is the same thing that happened when Allen Iverson stepped over Tyronn Lue to beat the Lakers in Los Angeles a million years ago and then lost in 5 games.
4 straight.
Because, yeah, I think that's what's going to happen here, but what a charming thing that Indiana did in Game 1. I think it's what most people expect to happen. But when Indiana wins Game 1 and wins that way, it makes it at least a more interesting series. It's the best possible result you could have gotten in Game 1, and then it corrects itself because OKC never loses 2 in a row. They always do that. They haven't lost 2 in a row since like 2023.
Wow.
That defense is asphyxiating. Halliburton and everyone on that team. Like I remember watching the game last night and feeling like Siakam was like having a good game, and then like he hit a bunch of free throws. But then I looked at the box score afterwards. And it's like he was 3 for 11. Like he was the most productive. It felt like or effective, like play creator who was getting into the paint, and he himself was getting destroyed.
Well, I want to ask you guys how you feel about when you're watching playing for the championship. We've talked so much. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not going to work for the storylines you want on narratives when the markets are 25 and 47. How am I going to sell to the American people, hey, you know how this thing wins? It chokes you out. Yeah. It just chokes you out. Your offense will be extinguished because they've got athletes and like, look, I don't know how to measure what Lou Dort does, but you're going to go 3 for 11 if you're Siakam, and it's no knock on Siakam.
Torture chamber.
But I'm saying, like, how do we sell that as next phase for the league? Nobody was doing that on narrative when they tried.
I think Game 1 did plenty to sell this series to the American people, and I do kind of think that looking at the ratings or arguing about the ratings is relatively lame. And I know it's a crutch for people that don't watch a series because I used it for Bucks Suns when I did not watch that series or care about it. And I just pointed to the ratings as affirmation. See, I'm not the only person that doesn't care about this, but it doesn't matter. Like the landscape of television ratings has changed so much that you just kind of got to totally disregard that. I'll worry about ratings when the broadcasters and league worry about ratings.
Exactly. And same point too, like ratings are for dorks. Who cares about what the ratings are? Does the ratings change how the basketball is being played? No, it's just the billionaires that own the companies are like, damn, the ratings are down. What do I give a about that? I saw great ball. Okay, if you're not watching for the ball, what are you doing? You're watching for the ratings. What are you, a dork?
All right, talk about some ball then. You're worse than talking about ratings is talking about people who talk about ratings.
That's what I'm saying, but I had to make my point known.
It was already made.
Do you like ratings talk?
I don't like ratings talk.
Okay, just making sure.
I want to talk some dork.
But he's telling you, give him some ball. He doesn't want something.
Okay.
Give him some ball.
Give me some Wiggins talk, baby.
So what do the Pacers do better than anybody else in the league except for Oklahoma
I'm not
City?
here to take a quiz.
Exactly right.
They come back.
Well said.
Not only do they come back, they use their bench great, right? You can look at 8, 9, 10, 11 guys on that Pacer team, be like, they can score, they can do their things. Who does it better? Oklahoma City. They finally showed it yesterday. Aaron Wiggins with 19 points, Caruso with 20 points. You have all these scores that come out of nowhere and fill these roles, and then you have SGA who's just efficient and quietly putting up 35 points a game, where it's like, oh, okay, this is really easy when you pair that with the best defense in NBA history.
I know he had the moment Game 1, but it seems as though Halliburton against his defense is having a really difficult time,
dude?
2 games in, and it may be too much to overcome. That being said, they did steal one on the road.
That's all you got to do is steal one.
Yeah,
That's all you gotta do.
And like Zaz mentioned on Friday, no matter what, they're going to have a game where we can level this thing up 2-2 back home at the very least.
Halliburton didn't even play that well in Game 1. I think he had like 15 points. He just happened to hit the game winner. But I will say Gilgeous-Alexander to me is a
Him too.
A breath of fresh air. He's a breath of fresh air. I love his game. I love that the MVP is a mid-range jumper guy who gets to the foul line. We're not always talking about threes, draining threes. He doesn't care that much about threes. Wonderful. Good for the NBA. Very good for the NBA because he's different than the usual star.
Disagree on all counts, including how
Okay.
you said his name.
Okay. You don't like that somebody who has a mid-range jumper can win an MVP in the modern NBA?
I don't like the free throw stuff as much because
Free throws and defense don't excite me.
Well, you're spoiled. You're used to something else.
I mean, I think the pushback, so the SGA stuff is really fun because it's unique. I think that's also why we find Jokic particularly fun, because it's unique. It's not something that we've become accustomed to. But I think that we are trying to pretend like we're some level of ball lovers that we're not when we don't.
Speak for yourself.
When we're not honest about the best to watch is somebody slashing and banging and doing exciting stuff that we grew up falling in love with. Like we can pretend that SGA is something we love, which no, not pretend. SGA is something we love, but you cannot lie to me and tell me that you wouldn't rather see Minnesota go off in that situation.
Well, of course, when you watch Anthony
that's
Edwards
all.
and the way he plays, you're like, oh, yeah, that's it right there. Like,
That's all I'm
that's what the
saying.
MVP should look like.
That's
But
all
then
I'm
SGA goes for 38 on 11 of 10 shooting, or 10 of 11 shooting. You're like,
Put
oh,
it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Our ratings for dorks, is it about knowing and speaking ball? Lou Dort, I know his name's not actually Lou, but that is the least imposing name that has ever had a
should he go by his
torture
full name,
chamber.
Lou Gens?
Lou Dort doesn't work for me as imposing
Is it
defense.
Dort or is it Lou?
It's the Lou that's the Lou.
The Dort for me.
Yeah,
Well,
Dort.
Dort.
It's Dort.
One syllable, just
Lou Dort.
Is it the two? There's something about Lou Dort that doesn't work as a torture chamber device.
I feel like it's the or in it that's like it's not. It's.
I think it's the
one
whole
syllable.
2 syllables of the thing.
You think so?
It's Lou Dort.
I think it's those specific syllables because I feel like you could hit somebody with something sharp if you had sharper syllables. It's just that it's like
The best the baseball player Ed Ott. Is it as funny? Ed Ott.
Nah,
Ed
a
Ott.
dude. See, it's because it's sharper. It's Ed Ott. It feels it's punchy.
Yeah, but one syllable. Lou Dort. We're in agreement, right? That Lou Dort doesn't give off intimidation, but we are disagreeing about the fact that we're not going to know how to cover a team that just strangles you to death. Like, how is that storylines and drama? How's that next face of the league stuff?
I mean, when they have the MVP, it goes beyond just that.
Right. Why are we afraid of?
They also score a lot of.
This is a new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
Join us in the cheap seats this Wednesday night. Dan and the Kid Mero are watching Game 3 of the NBA Finals presented by Remy Martin. Catch the live stream starting at 8 o'clock Eastern on the Le Batard Show YouTube channel.
When is Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final? They're flip-flopping
Thursday.
nights,
Thursday.
so it's Thursday. We will. How many more hockey live streams are you doing off of these games, Roy, where we can get this broadcasting excellence amid the chaos? And we didn't talk enough about how great the Spanish sentence "silence is everywhere" is as a haunting description. Like just great. Talking of Edmonton, silence is everywhere. And everyone knowing what it means makes it just a wonderful description.
I actually have an update. Angel Resto, who is our excellent, graphics and everything, do-it-all guy. In the midst of the chaos of what we're trying to translate, Angel picked it up. He said "silencio sepulcral," which is like a tomb-like quiet. So it's not even the silence is everywhere. It's like a graveyard tomb-like silence. Good catch by Angel.
Look, you just made Dominique whistle that out the way you'd imagine in a graveyard where Marchand had just scored to scare Edmonton. Because that's how quickly it flips, right? And we know the thing that we haven't talked about, because basketball is a bit of a foregone conclusion. Every team that's ever looked like OKC wins the championship throughout history. 68 wins, that kind of turnover differential, that kind of defense, and being able to have a guy, Halliburton shooting 20%. He's got 4 assists when he's guarded by Dort. He's got 8 turnovers. That hasn't happened in a 2-game stretch since March of last year. Like, this team is going to do that to you, and it would be only if the randomness of threes in today's basketball does Indiana somehow get saved from what seems inevitable. But hockey's not the same thing. I don't know who should be favored in this series. I know the money's come in on
They were
Edmonton.
both kind of favored.
But the first 2 games, this is the insanity of what I'm witnessing. Better than advertised, wildly beyond expectations, and we're 2 games in on what we know to be the 2 best teams, slugging it out at the very top in a way that makes like everyone in hockey be like, oh, These are heavyweights throwing haymakers.
I don't think it's a hyperbolic take either, because if you watch the TNT coverage, they're all kind of astonished at what they're watching. And Anson Carter the other day is like, this might be we're heading down a path here where this might be the greatest Stanley Cup final ever.
I'm trying to think of other sports where you've heard that in a championship, where it's just they're all just like, how about this?
Hell yeah.
This is awesome.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it reminds me a little bit of Cavs Warriors, where it felt like it was building towards something. Also, like Heat Spurs. But in this, I think the storylines are perfect, too, because McDavid falls into this perfect category of, like, he's by far clearly the best player who has to overcome
where LeBron
this
was with the Heat.
Right. It's the same sort of thing, and that's easy that's what is great for casuals. People who call pucks balls, they still enjoy watching hockey in this moment because that situation is such an easily told story.
It's a good correction you just made. There is one other time in basketball history where this isn't a foregone conclusion. It was when Draymond started kicking everyone in the junk, and that Golden State team that won 72 games lost while up 3-1 to LeBron James. But it's pretty predictable what's going to happen in basketball. Perhaps the last 7 years have not been predictable in basketball. Last 7 years, different champion all the time. You guys talking about SGA here and how it is that he, as the MVP of the league, seizes the league. He's got more points through 2 games, any player, first 2 games ever, Michael Jordan included. But and what? And yawn. And yawn.
And efficient and kind of boring.
But he's here arguing on behalf of, I like mid-range game, and the rest of us, I want Anthony Edwards.
How is that boring? But you know what's boring? Somebody draining threes for the entire game.
If you can make Jokic boring, I can make SGA boring.
Okay. That's fair.
What was that noise Dominique just made?
It's because I want to support Greg.
But he knows it was a bad take.
I'm just like,
I like something different, okay?
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Like,
I think
if everybody serving in a tennis match is serving 100 miles an hour, I want a drop shot every once in a while. I want a slice shot every once in a while. I want something different.
Well, they delivered on that in the men's final, no doubt.
Right.
I think that this is why today is Shirt Tuesday, because I think Greg's shirt is evidence to why he likes SGA, because that shirt is boring, but it's different from what Greg normally wears.
There you
and
go.
so he looks great in it.
Yeah.
And I think the same is true. If we got SGA year after year, final after final, week after week, night after night, I think Greg would recognize it. All right, let me get a little something different.
Dominique has brought me around on this. I am now also for today being Shirt Tuesday on the grounds that it can only be a Shirt Tuesday when Greg Cody says correctly that he longs for the drop shot. In tennis,
that's exactly right.
He does not.
Well, you should be thrilled because Alcaraz is a sicko with how he drops those
It's
drop
a
shots.
beautiful thing.
sicko.
No, it's insane what he does.
It's unfair. It's wrong. Thank you, Roy. Excellent timing.
The faces that his opponents make.
Go ahead.
And what he just tries to do.
Yes.
The fact that he even
Asinine.
thinks about these
Asinine. What he is doing with a tennis ball is asinine.
And let's have more of it. Let's have more drop shots, more spin shots. That's Le Batard and I used to play tennis all the time. Usually I'd beat him because I'd frustrate him with my little spin shot.
Look,
great.
he's been a coward this way for a long time. He loves the drop shot. Wait, make him go in and out, make him go side to side, wear him out.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cowardice.
No, it's not. It's brilliant on my part.
The part of tennis, like that's what you're supposed to do.
I know, but then
No, I'm defending you.
130 mile an hour serves, one after another. Boring.
That's what I was giving him too. 130 miles an hour,
right.
one
in your
after
dreams.
another.
Yeah, three of your serves together weren't 130 miles an hour. But it's the same thing in baseball, right? Everybody pitches the ball 105 miles an hour now. You know what? Where's the knuckleball? Bring back the knuckleball. Bring back a little variety. Instead of everything.
The Negroes?
Yes, bring back Phil and the other guy. What's the other guy's name? Phil Negro
Joe.
and
Charlie Huff?
Was it Joe?
Joe
Negro, yeah.
The Negroes.
The lesser Negro.
Be careful.
Who's a lesser Negro?
Yeah, Charlie Huff.
Who's a lesser
Joe.
Negro?
Joe is less than Phil. You know, somebody's got to be. They're not even. Phil Negro, by the way, is he in the Hall of Fame? I don't think so.
No.
Should be.
No, he should
Put him
not
in the
be.
Hall of Fame.
I don't want to have this knuckleballers conversation again. I don't want to have this conversation about the Negroes again.
That's art, a knuckleball, in a way that
It is
a
not.
fastball
It is
not.
cowardice. It is cowardice.
Okay, bring back the mid-range jumper. Bring back the
There
spin
it is.
shot.
Okay.
Bring back the knuckleball. let's
got the hook shot too?
Enjoy what's different. A hook shot I
Chest
like.
pass. What about the chest pass?
Yeah, the chest pass. How about the underhanded free throw like
Really?
Rick Barry?
Bring that gesture.
All that back. The underhanded free
What
throw.
else?
Like,
What else? The bank shot. What else? The bank
oh,
shot.
I like that. Yes.
Pooch punt.
I like that.
What else?
Yeah, Sam Jones, Boston Celtics, 1968. Give me that banker. Give me that bank.
Miles Turner gave you one.
Anything else?
And another thing.
Oh, no.
The bunt. Okay, bring back the bunt. Give me a 6-foot hit.
Do you not watch college baseball? They got bunts for days in that.
Well, they're still using metal bats, aren't they?
Yeah? What does that have to do with your bunt take, though?
Were you just flexing your college baseball knowledge there?
That's all he was
The
doing.
games are 9 innings.
And they're not metal, incidentally. They're aluminum.
Okay, whatever. An aluminum bat
It is a metal.
disqualifies the sport, in my opinion. And I know, the Canes baseball, they just came within one win of returning to the College World Series for the first time since 2016.
Heartbreaking.
Good for them. Good for them.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, 3-2 loss. But I will say that I don't like a metal bat. Never have. And if you bunt with a metal bat, it dings. It makes that terrible sound. The metal bat.
What
should
is
be
happening around
Should be
here?
a wood sound.
What is happening? I welcome this. It's my fault. It's because he
All
was
right, I'm
longing.
done.
He was
fine.
longing for the lob, the
Right.
drop shot. The drop shot. Excuse me,
Yeah.
not the lob.
Yeah.
He liked the lob too when he'd make me run up there with his
Yeah.
bull drop shots and then.
Damn right. I'd run you all over the court. Run you ragged. That kind of thing. Raggedy Andy. Raggedy Danny. Raggedy Danny. Raggedy Dan would have been better because it sounds like Raggedy Ann. I'm workshopping here. I like that music. Ragtime.
Raggedy Dan would have been the way to go.
Yeah, I know. I'm not perfect.
Dominique has some Don Nelson observations. If you have not been following the career of Don Nelson coached one of my favorite teams of all time, an 8 that took out a 1 because just Steven Jackson and Baron Davis were decided to shoot threes and buried poor Nowitzki and Steve Nash. Buried them both. Don Nelson at the time had a giant gin belly. Giant. Enormous. Looked like a wrecking ball in his stomach from all the gin he was drinking, I assume. I don't know if it was gin.
He got some sort of Lifetime Achievement Award, and he was at the game last night, and they showed him, and he's 85 years old, and he looks cool as hell. I just was jealous
85? Don Nelson
impressed.
is 85? Is that correct? Is that accurate, what Dominique is saying? Don Nelson, so I remember him with a giant belly. Then he goes to Hawaii, smokes a ton of weed, finds spirituality and enlightenment, and gets a lot healthier. Where are the photos of Don Nelson from last night? You're saying he is now healthy? Because he went through a period from he was very swollen, and then he went to raggedy. He became Raggedy Don. Because he had a lot of oh wow, that's
look at him.
Whoa,
No, he looks good.
I love it.
Whoa,
Outstanding.
That's 85 years old.
Look at that necklace.
That's aloha living right there.
I love it. Don Nelson looked like he's trying to sneak into Wakanda.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Does Don Nelson look like he's trying to sneak into Wakanda?
You let him in?
I wouldn't let him in.
Okay.
It sounds like you were impressed.
You thought about it for a second.
I mean, it's not an immediate turn away.
They're going through the line, and you're like, wait a second.
Just ask him his history. What you been up to? I just need to know what you've been up to.
I do believe he looks like he could be related to me.
Really? Looks like John Skipper.
He's a colonizer?
Tiene pinta.
Mentioned this on the show before, but he built a house made of hemp.
What is going on with that sound Dominique made? I want to understand better. Take me back, Chris, how you saw this through your viewpoint, because you saw we rarely get to see Dominique quite this vulnerable, okay? I want you guys, he was trying to get in there, and he was trying to talk, but he didn't want to interrupt Greg Cote because Greg Cote might have been on a roll.
That's what he was like. My dad was doing him, and Dom wanted to support and then ejected on it. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was. I tried to give him some support.
Thank you.
And then I just pulled back.
I appreciated the sound, though. I couldn't figure it out. It derailed me for a split second, but then I got back on track. How do you spell that?
You trying to create new onomatopoeias?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. What is that?
Greg Cody is willing to concede now that the Panthers need home ice advantage. He is now duly and officially scared of McDavid, even though he pretends not to be. He fluffs off. Oh, look at what McDavid did. That's the most beautiful thing I did, right around Barkov, our best defender. And now you're finally willing to give it. Now that Draisaitl's doing something in this series, which he didn't in the last one.
He was very clearly hurt in the last series.
You 2 games in are willing to acknowledge, oh, they're better. They're better than they were last year. This is a more formidable challenge for our greatest champion down here in South Florida hockey history.
One of the things that makes it an intriguing series is that both teams are better. The champions are better, and Edmonton is better. They both have depth like crazy, and it's such an offensive series. I thought Paul Maurice, who's a great quote, very intelligent, thoughtful man, he said after the game, after Game 2, that the goaltending in this series is so great, but the offense is so great that and we just saw it with a 5-4 game.
He's praising everything.
He said you could have an 8-7 game in this series, and you could still say the goaltending was good on both ends. And I know what he's talking about. The offense is beating good goaltending, and Skinner's been better than expected.
But you say that they need home ice here. I felt I feel like in this series, with how good the Panthers are on the road, I don't think home ice means a lot in hockey regardless, but in this series it feels like it means absolutely nothing.
Well, they've been great on the road.
I got 2 questions for you, Greg.
Yeah.
One is going to be a little scarier. I'll leave that for a few minutes from now so you can prepare emotionally for that. The first question is a little easier. What are you going to do? And I hate to say this in front of a lot of Panthers fans, but if Connor McDavid does win the Stanley Cup, like, what is the column going to be, or how are you going to respond? Because I feel like you owe him and his family and all of Canada something if he does actually reach the mark that you said that is holding back from being
properly rated.
He can't even fathom it. He can't even think of it. He's not even considered the column he has to write if he's wrong.
I have considered it, and I will be very thoughtful. I will give him all the credit in the world for finally catching up to his reputation.
Oh, so you're going to go accumulate all the credit in the world. All the world's credit. You'll collect it.
Yes, all of the credit. All of the credit in the world will be given to him.
Right. That's right. I'm going to all the banks. I'm taking out loans. I'm getting all the credit I can, baby.
All the credit you're going to give it to him.
Yes.
And what's the second question?
The second question is a little more uncomfortable.
Okay. First of all, let me just say there's going to be an asterisk to me giving him all the credit because if
not all the credit if there's an asterisk.
Okay, there is most of the credit.
It's not. Wait.
Listen.
You said all the credit. You said all the credit in the world.
If Edmonton wins the Stanley Cup, but we look back on the final and we say, you know what? McDavid wasn't even their best player in this series.
He's gonna do the pro-Draisaitl column. Draisaitl carried him. 7 goals in this series.
If it's true, I'm gonna say it. I do nothing but spit the truth.
Can we instead of this particular silliness, can I just put in front of you, and Dominique, I'm sure you will appreciate this as someone just a connoisseur of high-end excellence. For other hockey players and teams and executives to be watching this series and being like, oh, this is as well as all of this can be done by anybody. This is going to be random. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to allow 5 goals while being the great goaltender that night because we know what we're watching. It's better than everything else that was in the playoffs. It's super rare to have that kind of appreciation from the combatants when the way Florida buzzed through everything, I'm going to keep going through these particulars, takes out Tampa as a blueprint, New York as a blueprint, Boston as a blueprint, makes Toronto say our DNA's wrong, comes from their GM. Carolina is saying, Brindamore, Paul Maurice got me out of the handshake line because he didn't want me to do it. I'm going to go back to that, but I'm still a loser. A loser technically. A loser the way Canada and Carolina are losers. No individual is a loser, just franchises. Florida going through that and everyone acknowledging this thing's just as good as Florida. We all know it. Somebody's got to win. We'd be really disappointed if all the games don't look something like that. Like, we're not looking for 6-1s here. And if you do find a 6-1, my guess is you think that that McDavid and Draisaitl are the ones going to be doing it. You're not expecting Florida to win 6. You're not expecting Bob to be able to shut out Edmonton.
We lost 1 game last year in the final 8-1.
I'm expecting all the games in the series to feel like the first 2, maybe not overtime, but 50-50 toss-ups. These could be any. Today is, if you're going to see one game, maybe have a bigger spread. It might be tonight, because I know Nugent Hopkins might be out for Edmonton. They're mixing up their pairings, and I don't necessarily agree with Nurse maybe taking a defensive pairing one alongside Bouchard. I think Bouchard has proven to be a little shaky defensively, as you saw in the Marchand winner. So if there's ever a chance for Florida to get into some kind of groove, it might be tonight. But I think this is generally what the odds makers tell you. Pick 'em series.
But not just pick 'em. Excellence at the height of excellence. Like, that's the part that I'm saying. I don't know how people feel
right,
about.
But the lines makers don't say that when they put out the lines. I'm sure they would, though, if they had the opportunity.
But I mean,
excellence
I think...
on top of excellence. But yeah, it's a total toss-up. It's going to feel, even if it doesn't go 7, it'll kind of feel the way that I guess like Pacers Knicks felt, in that these are all up for grabs type of games.
I think there are different types of champions from different leagues at different times that reach different levels. And I believe that even my rudimentary hockey knowledge is both of these teams are champion level teams. And it's not so clear. And you can have a team that wins a championship in an off year. They're still champions. It's fine. You don't take anything from them, but you don't appreciate them. You don't respect them, and you don't remember them the way that you would some of these other all-time greats. We're in a situation in this particular Stanley Cup final that feels like both of these guys, or both of these teams, are so deserving of championship that it feels like whoever wins this, it's going to be a championship that matters more than normal Stanley Cups matter. At least for me, it feels like I'm locked into this series in a way that.
What I'm saying is that this is not always the case. It's
right.
not just. I know they play for a championship every year, but it's not every year. Are you okay? Is everything okay there?
Yeah, we're good.
It was weird. We got some feedback on the microphone when you were adjusting your headphone jack. We'll take a look at that after the show. Keep it moving.
Oh no, I had pressed the cough button.
Let's keep it moving.
Feels a lot like Sinner Alcaraz in that way.
Yeah. No,
in that, who the hell's going to win here?
No.
These are both really good. If either of these two won, you'd be able to claim this is probably the most impressive.
Except that I'm going a next step on this, because you're saying Sinner Alcaraz for now, and I'm saying that this is Federer, Nadal, this is Djokovic, this is the very top of how this sport can be played, as conceded by the awed hockey announcers who are saying through 2 games, can you believe this? Can you believe that it's exceeding my expectations when I already knew how closely matched they were? I'm saying that when you're watching something historic through 2 games, this is what it looks like. When you know that you're in the middle of something that people are going to remember, where you guys know how they talk about the series last year, because it was like, how do they top the fact that one team was up 3-0 and then it was 3-3 and then everyone got scared? And when Edmonton was coming back, the assumption was that Edmonton was now going to win the series. Now you're talking historically about the country and countries that celebrate hockey not rooting for Florida here. They're rooting for the immortal to be crowned. Right. Florida's in the way. The champion is very much in the way of what everyone who loves hockey is presently watching. It's not just that Florida is, Chippy and Marchand and wherever it is that you don't like them. This team is not being celebrated or rooted for by anyone outside of this market.
I disagree with that. I think that the Panthers, even as the reigning champion, has an underdog quality that Edmonton can't claim. Edmonton can't play that card. They were the betting favorite going in. They have the one guy in the league that everybody insists is the best player ever, McJesus, the next Gretzky. They're not the underdog. Florida's the underdog, even going for a second championship.
Third straight
cup final.
Right.
Third straight.
Second straight
I
championship.
think there's validity to what Greg is saying, despite the odds having this being pick'em. If you look at analysts, people with presence on with big platforms, it kind of felt like Florida could pull the card like, wait, do they really think that we can't do this? We can't win back-to-back cups? Like they were being doubted in ways that they hadn't been since probably Vegas, and that team is just better than you.
Because of how banged up they were at the end, I think, is the reason for that. Their regular season was nothing to write home about. Right. So I get why people were doubting them, but I just think at this point, people are not frustrated that the Florida Panthers are in this anymore. People are like, that's a great team. Like, I don't think teams, like, people are looking like at us as an all-time great team. I think the narrative of this Florida Panther, like, Florida, no one cared. I think a couple years ago, it was like, what is this Florida market? I feel like now it's like, this team is just deserves to be.
I think both could use help from the other opponent in framing what their legacy is, because while back-to-back doesn't necessarily get you in dynastic conversation, the fact that they had went to a Stanley Cup final previously as an 8 seed, and they do it against this guy in the Cup final, that frames the discussion. And it also frames the discussion for Connor McDavid in that you could look at this Florida team and say that's one of the best teams ever. And you shook off 3-0, you battled back, you fell just short. Can you use that as fuel to take you over the top? I think both of these teams are helped by the other in terms of narrative.
A couple of questions for Dominique. One, do you feel like Mike is going for the Don Nelson look with the chain outside of the shirt? And two, Chris Cody, when are you going to stop using the phrase something to write home about, given that it's been a long time, maybe the 1800s, since people wrote home in order to give good information? We're beyond the writing of home, like, I'm like, what do you write home? Like, why are you writing a home? Like, you're writing your dad a note? You're writing your dad a note and mailing it to him? Or why are you writing?
I wouldn't even know how to mail something.
What? He has not written a letter in his entire life.
I would be like, I would have to go to my dad to, like, give me a stamp. Do they still do these things?
You don't know how to use a stamp? You have
No, I know that my parents have stamps that if I ever need anything, I can go over there in their junk drawer, slap that thing on there. I don't care how much it weighs. I'm putting that sticker on it.
Sticker.
How do you feel about Mike Ryan going for the Don Nelson look here, Dominique? Do you believe that he's not looking for Wakanda membership as well, is he?
No. I think that Don Nelson is trying to pull off the Mike Ryan. Mike pulls it off more naturally. And maybe I haven't seen Don in a while. It looks perfect for him, but I think it's different looks. Are
those puka shells? What kind of shells are those? Those are Hawaiian shells. That
it might be made of hemp. Like his guest house is also made of hemp. But Dan, you'd be right. I saw this picture of Don Nelson. I said, I got to be like that. I've never worn this look before. Prior to, I saw a picture of Don Nelson. I'm like, that's going to be my fit now.
A good choice by you,
there
Mike.
You go.
Thank you.
Mild Mike.
We didn't mild. That's what it is. It's not. It's no longer a Cody Holy Shirt Tuesday. It is now a mild Mike Monday, and on a mild Mike Monday, one of the things that I wanted to bring
That's not
up.
a thing. It's not a thing. Stop making it. The only reason it's a thing is I'm getting boxed out at every turn right now. Cockburn's got to get the shots up.
That kind of thing. I thought that was his name.
I'd
never met the guy.
You thought his name was Cockburn?
I did. Pete Cockburn. It sounds like a name.
That was very Bill Simmons. Do I get to speak now? Is it my turn?
Mild Mike.
The house was made of hemp or is made of hemp?
Yeah, we have a photo. It's something called, please clear the graphic. It's something called hempcrete. They make hemp into this paste, and he built a 6,000 square feet guest home made of hemp.
What a waste of hemp.
See it right there.
How many things can you throw Crete at the end of it and just make a house with it? I could play. You want me to play the game? I can name some things.
Workshop that next time.
Yeah, before you do that, in fact, here, let's just...
Major penalty, 5 minutes, swooning comedy.
I think you'd be shocked at how many.
Greg Cody, I want to get your thoughts on the Pittsburgh Steelers signing Aaron Rodgers, 1 year, $13 million, an interesting marriage. Adam Schefter is reporting that this was Pittsburgh's third choice, that they were trying to get Matthew Stafford, that they thought that it might be an experience in a future that involved the quarterbacking of Justin Fields. And now you are seeing Aaron Rodgers. They're sort of the quarterback discount bin is empty.
Yep.
At the game of musical chairs makes it so that they couldn't go into next season with Mason Rudolph as their quarterback. You simply cannot do that. So they just end up on Aaron Rodgers, and how do we think that's going to go?
Well, I don't think it'll go particularly well. I think Aaron Rodgers has shown that he's pretty much spent in terms of the Aaron Rodgers of 5 years ago, the Aaron Rodgers from his prime. The Jets let him go for a reason, and And Aaron Rodgers only looks good if you compare him to Mason Rudolph. You know, he kept the Steelers on hold for months, and this is what the Steelers get for not moving on from the possibility of Aaron Rodgers.
I think the Steelers are in a situation now where they have to go with Aaron Rodgers. It puts them in a situation where Aaron Rodgers could hopefully turn back the clock for enough for them to make a run, but he also can put them in a position to draft a quarterback next year when the quarterback draft class is a little bit more attractive. I don't have a ton of faith in Aaron Rodgers, but a year removed from the Achilles injury, people do have a little bit more success once they have a little bit more time to recover. But it's not an injury that has a long history outside of Kevin Durant.
Well, you've seen the numbers on him turning the ball over more. So I ask this question sincerely, even though I know how the audience feels about what I'm about to say. If I tell anyone in the audience, you're someone who cares about the Steelers, what would you prefer? Mason Rudolph is your quarterback next year, or Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback? Everybody would say, I've seen what Mason Rudolph is, and I've seen what Aaron Rodgers has been. I'd rather hope than go with Mason Rudolph. So I ask you, Dominique, in real terms, having looked at the analytics of what the decline has been and historically how bad quarterbacks get after the age of 37, is Aaron Rodgers actually a better option than Mason Rudolph? Yes or no?
Yes, he's absolutely a better option than Mason Rudolph because, you can find moments. I think what you want from a quarterback at this point is can they make the throws that not other quarterbacks can make? You can find moments in Aaron Rodgers' season last year that are really ugly, but you can also put together a pretty impressive highlight tape. I think that the players on that team, the fans of that team, and the coaches on that team, in their mind, their best version of this is we play great defense. We don't ask much of Aaron Rodgers. But every now and then, we ask him to do one of those special things. Can he do it? Mason Rudolph cannot. So you don't even have that as an option or opportunity. So I think that's what players and fans and coaches would like about Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I have a question, though. Would you prefer Aaron Rodgers to either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields?
I think so, given how last year ended, because it's the unknown of it. I'm not saying that it's smart or rational or right. I'm saying if I were on that team, I would say, yeah, go ahead and let those guys run, and we'll see what Aaron Rodgers can give us. I think the other more complicated and difficult thing to talk about when it comes to Aaron Rodgers is what his presence means beyond his ability on the field. And we want to focus so much on the things that we fully understand, like we can see how well or poorly he throws. We don't know. Despite the fact that we pretend like we don't know exactly what the Aaron Rodgers presence in the locker room means. Leading up to his stint with the Jets, we were spinning it as positive. Like, he's there. He knows how to win. He's going to expect things from other people. They're reinvigorated because they see how high their ceiling is offensively. And then the following year, we're like, man, everybody hates Aaron Rodgers. Gets all the coaches fired. No one really likes to be. Like, I don't know what that particular ingredient is going to do to the chemistry of the Steelers locker room.
Well, what held Pittsburgh back last year? Clearly quarterback play, but the inability to trust the quarterback. I actually like using Aaron Rodgers the way that they use Russell Wilson, and hopefully you can talk yourself into, well, we can trust him to throw more if we need it. That was kind of in the way of Pittsburgh when they played Baltimore, was you kind of need Russell to throw. And when he was slinging it, it wasn't bad, but I can understand why you stopped short of fully trusting him. Aaron Rodgers historically has been very good at taking care of the football. And if he's going to buy into Mike Tomlin's way of just keep us in this football game, we'll find a way to steal it and sneak into the playoffs, even as a third team in that division, which is what most people likely have them. That's probably what the odds makers have them at. They can still get in the playoffs, and I would trust him to steal one against a better team in the playoffs more than Russell Wilson because I would trust him to throw it more.
It feels like Aaron Rodgers has a really good first year with his locker room, and then that second year is when things kind of start tailing off, right? So you have him for a one-year deal, and then maybe he's the good Aaron Rodgers in the locker room for that one-year deal, bridge quarterback, and then you get somebody else.
Well, let me figure this part out, though, because I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is capable of being humbled. I think anyone trying to predict how he'll behave in that locker room, that's a fool's errand to try and figure out what that looks like. But I'm more interested in this. So you got Mike Tomlin, nothing but winning seasons, but also in this particular quagmire, which is that fan base spoiled by Ben Roethlisberger, one of the best, okay?
7 starters since he's retired.
But spoiled by Ben Roethlisberger and also spoiled by this part. They got to watch the decline of Ben Roethlisberger when he was younger and his body was failing than Aaron Rodgers. And what that looked like was Mike Tomlin winning all the games. Nothing but slants, Ben. Nothing but slants. And every once in a while, please hit a 3rd and 9 down the field where you throw it for 30 yards because you can still make one of those old Ben throws. They've gone through all the quarterbacks since then. They're like, bring us back the old Ben. Just slants, slants, slants. 3rd and 6, slants. Be super accurate. Be Drew Brees super accurate. And every once in a while, please, Aaron Rodgers, on 3rd and 11, can you hit somebody down the field for 30 yards? Make 2 of those plays. Make 2 of those plays half a season.
Yeah, but they had better talent around Ben in those days. Like, I understand they acquired DK, but it's Robert Woods after that, who's been in the league forever. They have a new RB1 in Jalen Warren, who's been around the franchise for a long time, but it's the supporting cast of characters isn't what it used to be.
But what I'm asking Dominique is about the frustration that the Pittsburgh fan base would have about that offense in a phone booth constipation of we're just trying to get 7 yards on 3rd and 6.
It's a style of play that fans do not like unless the results are there. And while we marvel at Mike Tomlin's non-losing record, Steelers fans are done with it. And it's been a short, like it's all about expectations and what you're accustomed to. They've been accustomed to a level of success where they are sick of this mediocrity. Like you said 7 quarterbacks, but it's only been like 3 years since Ben Roethlisberger was their quarterback. He wasn't a good quarterback then, but like you had to stay with him. It's funny to listen to, or not funny, but it's interesting to listen to a fan base who's been so stable and had so much success get frustrated with that stability and success when you look around at the rest of the league. It's like you had 3 years of not having a quarterback. Most everyone else looking at 10, 15.
But do you guys hear what he's saying there? Because I believe that these 2 things are actually so, and it's a crazy thing to say. Mike Tomlin has not had a losing season since he's been coach for a franchise that has had 3 coaches ever. And also, Pittsburgh fans think the last 10 years of it are mediocre. The word is mediocre. Right? They keep making the playoffs. They always win more than they lose, but they're extinguished so quickly that Pittsburgh fans would absolutely have the assessment that Mike Tomlin the last decade has been mediocre. How can those 2 things be true?
Well, I think it doesn't help that if you're a Steelers fan, you see other downtrodden franchises like Detroit, like Washington, get pretty damn good pretty fast, and your team is still stuck in something just above mediocrity.
See, I got to cut you off there.
Yeah.
They didn't get good fast. Like, I guess they got good out of nowhere, but those 2 organizations were bad.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, though.
For long stretches.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. Like, 2 years ago, they're both among the dregs of the league. Now, all of a sudden, especially Detroit, I mean, you're looking at Detroit as a Super Bowl contender.
It's hard to look at the whole, like, the big picture, but if you asked a fan base, would you rather have had the run of the Steelers or that of what let's go with the Commanders have? Like, obviously, they all choose the Steelers because the Steelers, even during their down period, they've been mediocre. Like, Washington was terrible. I live in D.C. The team was an embarrassment for a long stretch.
30 years.
The same thing for the Lions, which is why I get why the Steelers fans are upset, but I also get why people would look at them and say, shut up. You don't know suffering.
I'm really interested in this pairing, though, because I know it's a fairly recent thing that Aaron Rodgers is reputed to be a coach killer, but for most of his career, no. He actually worked against his best interests, and he kept mediocre people around in his life for too long. It certainly cost him at least 1 Super Bowl with the decision-making that happened in the NFC Championship game against Seattle. He's always surrounding himself with Nathaniel Hackett's of the world. I'm happy that he gets to go to a franchise where there is an established leader in that locker room, and it's not going to be Aaron Rodgers' cast of merry men that you just drag in here. We have a Pittsburgh Steeler way of doing it, and I'm the first coach with an actual personality and spine that you're going to listen to.
What's interesting to me about Aaron Rodgers signing with Pittsburgh is that Dominique is right when he says Steelers fans are growing really impatient, and it's also true to say that Aaron Rodgers is not a real likable character at this point. Not real likable. And I think there's the potential for a real combustible relationship. If Aaron Rodgers starts poorly or the Steelers are 0-2, I think you're going to hear booing. I think the mindset's going to be, why'd we sign this old guy? So I think it's a very volatile situation that's going to be really neat.
Can we explore, though, the question that I'm asking you guys? How do both of these things exist? The most stable franchise in the sport, 3 coaches in their history. has a coach who has not had a losing season in his entire time coaching. His fans are tired of the mediocrity. What are we talking about? Are you guys telling me that if you're the 10th best team in the league, that's mediocre? That's what you're telling me? Because Tomlin's been that for a decade and a half. It's not Lions get here for a minute and people are already closing their window and Ben Johnson's over here saying, I don't need a tush push. I don't need short yardage plays. We're all about 40-yard plays. Pittsburgh is going into a season trying to beat you with 7-yard slants and defense. And we'll try and go on the road and see if we can beat Burrow.
I mean, Pittsburgh fans are used to winning Super Bowls, and it's been a minute since they have. You know, Dolphin fans down here still look to 1972 and 1973, ancient history. If you've won Super Bowls, if you're used to winning a Super Bowl, it's not good enough to be 10-6.
But that's not mediocre. 10-7 can't be mediocre.
It's not good enough.
But for the first time in his career, I feel like he's going to a place where the expectations are perfectly calibrated for him, and with what the team actually does compared to the perception of him. People still think Aaron Rodgers is this chuck it down the field guy. Even when he was in his prime winning MVPs, he was very careful with the football, so I think it actually plays well to his skill set.
This is all game management. He will no longer be a game breaker. He's just going to be a game. It's don't make mistakes. It's not even make plays. It's don't make mistakes.
Right. And I think that to Mike's point, should be encouraging to Steelers fans because it is a good fit. But to the question that I think you feel like we're not answering, it seems pretty simple. It's about expectations, and it's about what you become accustomed to. Like, I could give a ton of different examples or analogies, but like if you go back 100 years, the idea of having air conditioning would be like odd to you. Now, if I took your AC for one day, Dan,
oh my God,
you would be infuriated.
Oh my God.
The Steelers fan base have been living in AC. And now they just turned they haven't even taken it away. They just turned it up to 70, 72. And they're like, it's hot as
They haven't
here.
changed the filter. That's what they
There
haven't
you
done.
go.
Yeah.
And they're like, somebody do something about this. While other organizations are looking at them like, I've been in this swamp. It's 94 degrees in here. I can't sleep. This is unbearable. And they're looking at the Steelers like, it's only 70 over there. Wait till you feel this. Like, I get how that feels.
This episode is presented by Smirnoff. We do game days. Please drink responsibly. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York.
If you want some concentrated, 100% pure basketball good stuff, Amin and Izzy and Oddball will be here at the end of the hour to cover things better than we did around here today, as Greg Cody just fell in love with the mid-range game of Shea. What did you call him? Gilgis? Did you call him? How did you pronounce his name?
Alexander.
Okay, Alexander works.
Yeah.
Yes, that works correctly.
Right.
The better analysis from experts better than us, Amin and Izzy, will be here shortly. Dominique had an observation during the break that I would imagine, Chris, can you reach out to your mother and ask her how she feels about this? He was asking, how do you imagine Greg's wife feels about
wonderful.
Erlene,
Thank you.
Wonderful woman. Everyone agrees. How does she feel about the fact that Greg doesn't wear a wedding ring but does wear 2 pinky rings?
Okay.
How old are the pinky rings? They older than
Did
your
you
marriage?
mean to slur that like that, or did you?
In the meantime,
I'm wearing clear aligners, you know.
Okay, it's not the big league shoe from the other day.
No,
okay, that's
it's
an
still stuck in my
unpleasant
teeth,
sound. That's not.
Let's
good.
go ahead and clip that one for the club, though.
couple blocks down.
Little marble mouth.
I don't know how old these rings are. I'm not sure.
But you've been wearing pinky rings for roughly how long?
10 years maybe.
And how long haven't you worn a wedding ring?
10 years maybe. Something like that.
So you took it off and said, you know where I'm going to put the ring? Instead of my ring finger, on my pinky
Instead of
finger.
one symbol for my love, I'm going to put 2 symbols for
player.
my narcissism. That's
Well-
right. That's right, because I'm a player. That's right. Spelled like we spell beach.
As playa.
I've texted her. I'll let you know when she responds.
We can also get her on. It's a good question. How do you imagine she feels, Greg, about this? That you do not wear a wedding ring, you have not worn one for 10 years, but you wear 2 pinky rings because that you want to give off as style. And that is the only jewelry you wear, right? You do not wear a necklace or a watch of any kind.
Nope.
It's just 2 pinky rings.
Yes, Panky rings. That's right. She knows we're married. I know we're married. I don't need a ring. You know.
She knows we're married is a great line.
It's what a player
knows
would
we're
say.
married.
It's what.
I want you to be honest with me. How long did you say you have not been wearing the wedding ring?
I don't know, 10 years?
During
I'm
that
guessing.
time, have you ever had to say, like somebody, or no, sorry, I'm married. Like where somebody gets the wrong idea and you have to be like, I'm married.
I know I have only 2 pinky rings here, and that says
And I'm a player.
It suggests I'm open for business. That I don't have.
Does it?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Greg, did you
never
not know the
heard that.
connotation of pinky rings?
No.
Oh,
Greg,
What is it? Tell me.
Greg,
Enlighten me.
Greg,
I have no idea.
Your jewelry absolutely says you're open for business. Your lack of a wedding ring isn't
ridiculous.
the only thing on your hand that says you're open for business.
Well, where is that written?
It's
I'm
never
being-
written.
I'm being
On your
honest.
face.
Unwritten rule.
Of course it's not. You don't write it down, but like
Never write it down.
people, it's like the first time I became aware of like pinky rings was like through the HBO documentary Pimps Up, Hoes Down.
Okay.
The pimps,
You familiar, Dad?
they wear pinky rings.
Sure.
Just
Nothing
said,
wrong with that.
Okay.
And it was like, nothing's wrong with anyone wearing a pinky ring. Like, I think when I was young, one earring meant a certain thing. And then it became a time where 2 earrings was cool and you weren't suggesting you weren't suggesting anything by wearing 2 earrings. So things changed. But from when I was a kid until now, it may have changed, but it was understood that if you had on a pinky ring, playa.
And if you got 2 of them,
Panky.
Open for business 2 times. I'm open for business. You think I'm closed? I'm still open.
I particularly found it interesting though, because we were talking about wedding rings, and so I looked around to see everyone didn't have a wedding ring, and you were obviously very offended by the idea that anyone would expect you to wear a wedding ring. And then I looked a half inch away from your ring finger and was like, so you decided that whatever these pinky rings represent to you, because it's not even, I would get if you were like, rings make me uncomfortable, I don't wear rings. Then you have naked hands like my man Roy, naked hands. But you were like, no, I just don't want to wear it. For what reason?
Why don't I want to wear a wedding ring?
But also making the stylistic choice of, I do want to give this off.
Right.
I don't want anyone to know what this one gives off. But 2 times over here, I want everyone to know what this is. I want to know also the backstory of how you purchased these. Were any of them a gift? Did you do it at the same time? Did you do it when your hand was naked? Did you say, I want to be open for business? Like, what's the backstory?
I've got him just stumbling into like in his junk drawer a bolt and being like, oh, this will look cool.
Yeah, that's not entirely untrue. I don't remember the reasonology behind it. I have several of these. I picked 2 that I think go together, although one is silver and one is
But you like the way they look?
tarnished
Yes.
gold.
Like what are you really doing
Style.
putting those on all the time?
Yeah, a little bit. I think part of it is that you're entirely right. I've never worn jewelry. I've never worn a wristwatch. I'm not a chain guy. I just don't. I don't have tattoos. This distinguishes me in a very tiny, small way. I didn't know it symbolized anything. I thought it was just me wearing jewelry on a different finger. That's
So before we get contact from Erlene, I think we as a team, we're going to have to come up with some good explanation for Greg Cody, because I feel like I've backed him into a tough corner right now, because it's like what you are suggesting is whatever the feeling that these Panky rings give me is so strong that I will put it on my ring finger, which would suggest that there's another feeling somewhere else that is so strong that you might want to wear a piece of jewelry. If you were naked-handed, I'd be like, all right, Greg, it's uncomfortable. It's like an OCD thing. I feel you, dog. You don't have to wear it. But the fact that you were like, hey, let me put on one of these. You know what? You know what this left hand needs?
throw another one at it.
2 Pankies.
The way that Greg is doing it.
You go one more.
Take that, Early.
It's so aggressive.
What?
Yes. Greg.
You guys are insane.
Greg.
We're
Greg.
Yes.
Greg,
2.
Greg,
Dose.
you wearing 2 pinky rings makes it so that he has no discomfort whatsoever saying to you and being accurate that they're both Panky rings. That he's saying it's Panky because you have 2 of them.
Okay.
It ceases to be merely a pinky ring, that you're being so aggressively, I'm open for business, that they're Panky rings.
Okay. All right. Hanky panky. Is that what that means?
Getting closer.
Okay.
It's in the realm.
You go upside down pineapple on a cruise ship? Like what else are we doing
I don't know
here?
what that means.
I don't know what that means either. You
I don't
back
either.
off with that.
Dano, if you
Upside
see an
down
upside down
pineapple.
Pineapple, don't go in.
I didn't think that you thought that I would on this Monday ignore the number 11 Toyota Camry of Joe Gibbs Racing. You didn't think I was going to do that, did you? You didn't think I was going to do that. Not today.
What a race.
I was not going to do that today.
Oh.
Talking about this foolishness with his Panky ring.
Might be my favorite Firekeepers Casino 400 ever.
Wow.
It really might be. Great racing on Amazon Prime. Denny Hamlin, he had just had his 700th start, and he wins his first race post 700 start, 44 years old. And something interesting that he said after he won the race to the Amazon crew. Well, he said plenty interesting after the race. In fact, let's cue that video up first.
All right, hold on. Heel turn? We're going full heel turn?
I mean, he's been NASCAR's heel, and he relishes the role.
Daddy, I'm sorry, but I beat your favorite driver, folks.
I gotta ask, like Marty did, who's that?
All of them.
Hocevar was the hometown guy. Hocevar has been racing really well. Had a flat tire, gets him out of the race. But that is a cliched line that he occasionally tosses out there. He also, keep in mind, this was Michigan Motor Speedway. After that, recent Buckeye fan, Denny Hamlin, at least publicly, gave him the OH on his way out. But one thing that he said that was interesting is all he wants to do is get in the top 10 in NASCAR wins all time, which is a curious thing for Denny Hamlin to say because the thing about Denny Hamlin is he's never won a Cup Series championship. He's always up there.
Yeah.
It would shock people that have casually followed NASCAR that he hasn't won a championship yet. He's still looking for that, but he says top 10 in wins all time means more to me than being a Cup Series champion, which I found odd and awfully convenient for a dude that hasn't won it.
It's true that he's the Conor McDavid of NASCAR. There's no question about that.
Only he's 20 years older. The window's closing for him.
Yeah, but NASCAR drivers age a little bit slower than hockey players and some other athletes.
Leave McDavid alone. Just stop.
I'm just noting that he hasn't won a Stanley Cup yet.
So what happened 10 years ago?
Matter of fact, right?
So
What?
10 years ago, what happened? There was I think you've been married for like 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you had that thing on for 30 years.
Yeah.
And one morning you woke up. Let me move this over to my left finger.
Okay, I can tell you very easily why I don't wear a wedding ring. It's more difficult to tell you why I wear a pinky ring. Okay, the wedding ring, probably because my fingers got fat, the wedding ring split on the back and began really pinching me, almost to the point of drawing blood. And so I separated it, and rather than have it repaired, I'm like, you know what, feels good without that ring. I'm
So
just
fat
going
fingers. Your fingers had gotten too fat.
Yeah, I'd probably gained 10 pounds over the years, I'm not the kind of guy who really balloons like you tend to. But, I will gain, 10, 15 pounds, then I'll lose, I just mean, I don't mean now. You look pretty, well, I was going to say svelte. Let's not get carried away. But
he's lashing out there.
What is that? I'm a pimp all of a sudden?
It's in the preview. It's not on the screen.
Oh.
You're looking at
That's
something
some good
that only
Photoshop
you
work right
see.
there.
Yeah, we're terrible Photoshop. Where'd the right side of my face go?
Oh, gosh.
Okay.
Bit of a difference in skin color there.
All right, look.
That's a good looking
Somebody
cigar,
get
though.
a hold of whoever's in video with the Photoshop.
Good looking cigar.
And arrest that person. Take them outside and take away their freedom.
Danny, get out of here.
The other thing that I just want to address here. The verb balloon.
Oh.
Hurts my heart, man.
Balloon.
What about it?
I mean, it's just, there's a cruelty in it.
Gratuitous.
It's a fun word. It's like,
Yeah.
it's
Parties.
fun.
Festive.
Yes,
I think
party,
you've deflated
yes.
in recent years.
Yeah. He just meant you're a good time. I don't want to look at you. I can't look at you.
Balloon as a verb, like to look me in the face when.
No one wants to do that.
It's a party balloon. Helium.
Have
It'd
you
make
ever
a funny
been
sound.
somewhere where there are balloons and it wasn't fun?
Good question.
Not a lot of balloons at funerals and
There
sad
you go.
places.
He got you
Balloons
on
are
that.
happy things. He
Yes.
did get me on that.
There
But
you go.
balloon
The
is a
Hindenburg.
verb to talk about. No, there's that. Yeah, that's a different kind of balloon.
Roy reporting live.
Can we watch Roy
Actually,
again?
you guys want to
reporting?
watch Roy again? Which one do you want to watch?
him
all right.
I like the sad one.
You-
To clarify,
yes.
there ceased being a balloon when the good times stopped.
That's true.
It wasn't like, hey, Hindenburg crashed, let me bring in some balloons.
I like the sad
Balloons
one
pop.
where it's like, they've scored.
They've got a goal.
Right, okay, let's do the sad one where Roy grabs his. Look, this is what's happened, okay? A man who's had many years in the field of military training, of knowing how to report in times of crisis. As others scurry for the exits, as others who like microphones but don't know the responsibility of microphones yell, "Suck it, Mike Ryan," and then run into the distance, Roy Bellamy is in the middle of the chaos,
meets the moment,
and grabs his headset and runs into the fray. He is Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump, going into the fray again and again to go and retrieve people and bring them to safety.
Heroic.
Yes, it genuinely harkens back to a time where you look to a news person to lead you when you're scared.
In times of fear and crisis, when you need a reasonable, objective voice to just deliver the news, Roy's there to give you the score.
Going back to the point. You know that.
Oh, my God, get it out. Oh, my God. The Edmonton Oilers have tied this game at 4.
Wow. Edward R. Bellamy.
We are going to go into overtime.
Oh, my God, dude. This is like a team of destiny. Holy.
Corey Perry has tied this game at 4 with 17 seconds left in regulation.
I have fixated. It took several times playing this clip. Check out the terror on Rose's face.
Oh my God, it's great.
It's
just
great.
pure terror.
Well, it's not
looks
only
like
that.
she saw a ghoul.
It's wonderful for a number of reasons. First of all, inexplicably, Rose is doing the game in another language.
It's like a broadcast in Spanish, like simulcasting it.
She's broadcasting in
What
Spanish.
is she saying?
Well, she's giving more colorful play-by-play because Spanish is a better language. But the thing about Roy that makes this so wonderful is that he is giving the most basic of information to emergency survivors.
Radio listeners.
It's just, but it's just, everyone knows what's just happened. Look at how everyone fled the video. But Roy is there to explain. It's a bit of the slow report, but also factually correct. Right in the middle of it, everyone settle down. Here's what the score is. Radio, time and place.
You know that.
Oh, my God, get it out. Oh, my God. The Edmonton Oilers have tied this game at 4.
Wow.
And we are going to go into overtime.
This is like a team of destiny. Holy.
Rose looks terrified.
Corey Perry has tied this game at 4 with 17 seconds left.
I want to ask you guys, if you know those dry cleaning racks, you know the dry cleaning that brings the suit back from, if behind Roy, as people scattered, a rack had come and just wrapped him in news suit garb, and he had just leaned right in and gone from wearing a baseball cap and the shirt that he's wearing to all of a sudden having a sports coat, a tie, and reporting the news as a horrified Rose nearby, filled with panic.
It looks like she saw the mushroom cloud of the nuclear blast.
Look, what she's
not worried about Iraq. She's worried about Iraq.
What she's seen is far worse than what broadcaster Roy is describing. And you know what she sees? What cometh this way? You tell me that that's not what she sees.
Oh, God. So good.
The little moment, like there was like a little hesitation fear, and I'm trying to figure out if that's when the puck first found Corey Perry. She's like, oh no, they're going to get a good look here. Yeah. And then, like, because she kind of screams a little bit beforehand, and then it settles in on her face.
Horrifying.
It does look like that door in Greg Cody's garage just closed in her face.
She looks haunted. It is the same silence, the tomb-like silence that was everywhere is on Rose's face. That you do understand that right there is the whole reason to do the broadcast, correct? Like it can have all sorts of other accents, noises, talking, voices. It's just what does that better than sports? And the answer is the voice of a baby crying at midnight in a cornfield. That's horror right there. That's it. She was loving her life. 17 seconds to go. I'm speaking Spanish. I'm delighted. Oh my God. What cometh this way?
The game is tied. 17 seconds left. I love Roy. Just meets the moment.
But you heard the tremble in his voice, though. It was shaky. The foundation, that house was on stilts, my friend. That house was not, that was shaking. He did get in there and give the facts, but it's because it's all he was holding on to in the storm.
Wasn't scary.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Hey,
A little
forward. Little forward.
One click.
Go back.
There, yeah.
Yes, right there. Yes.
Dwork's giving it too. Dwork's giving you a little something there too.
Yeah, zoom out there.
And then go to Roy. What's Roy doing right now? Oh!
That was me saying they scored. Score.
No, I think this was just before the score.
No, that's score. That's the O in score right there.
Let's play the sound.
I don't think that is. I don't think that is the score. Is that the score, or is that something being inserted
Hit it, guys.
at a time you weren't expecting?
Hello.
The Edmonton Oilers have tied this game at 4.
Wow.
Smile.
And we are going
Yeah,
to
that's
go
smile.
to overtime.
What's with that smile, Roy?
Yeah, Roy.
Dominique was saying that you might have a little bit of sadist in you. What's with that smile?
You like the pain.
No,
Makes you happy.
I was actually literally in pain because my shoulder was hurting.
So you
probably-
smiled.
That's what pain looks like.
Randomly
Like,
shoulder pain.
Maybe he was
There's
smiling
pain.
because he knew he delivered the news.
You did just hold on
Look
to
at that face, Roy.
Newsroom.
That's a smile, Roy. That's not the. That's not. How is that shoulder pain, Roy?
It was my shoulder was killing me. The
But
entire
Roy,
night.
that's not shoulder.
He likes pain. He likes it.
It's a grimace. I don't know.
Yeah, the smile is a grimace. That's a good point by Roy.
I just hurt myself again.
That is not shoulder pain, Roy. That was you.
You see the face you just made when you just hurt yourself? That's a face
Yes,
that people
that's
make when
the
they're in
face
pain.
of pain. Correct. Pain looks like pain. It doesn't look like joy.
It's a sharp pain. That's why the teeth were showing.
Well, look at Rose there. Rose, that is a catastrophe.
Yeah.
And Dwork, by the way, I don't know how Dwork, haunted and talking about, oh no, it's a team of destiny, how he finishes 4th place here on emotional reactions because everyone fell apart. And again, I will explain. Rose and Ethan fell out of your screen. They just, to recover from that in Edmonton, to give us a series, I know people are tired of how much we're talking about hockey, but
Not too bad.
I mean, how much better do you want the games to be? How much better would you like this to be that all of hockey is fawning at how wonderful the games are and how excellent the teams are? And we're 2 in.
Then when they equalize, were you like, oh, this is the good stuff?
Oh, my
Hell
God.
yeah.
Give me that
This
in
is
Game
great. I am
7.
psyched about
Game
this.
7, give it to me.
Amin's coming to us from Oklahoma City, where the Thunder have evened up the series 123-107. I like the live action feel of this. There's like people around in the background. Amin, right from the top, main story about this game too.
All right, so first of all, like my location is right by where the Thunder locker room tunnel is. So
okay,
you're going to see a lot of activity in the background.
Great.
No,
I'll describe it if necessary.
Yes, there you go. The Aaron Wiggins just walked by the way. Big hero.
Wasn't necessary. Thank you, though.
Not necessary. Okay. No, but the history of this team all season long has been after a loss, it's a resounding answer, right? It's not just they don't lose back-to-backs or 2 games in a row. It's they beat your ass, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened tonight. First of all, they did a much better job on the glass. The offensive rebounding opportunities that the Pacers were feasting on in game 1 were not present. They still, even though the turnover count was a lot lower, they definitely got their way in terms of creating offense off of those turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
And the third part, I think this is the most important part. SGA got help, and the help came from some unexpected sources like an Aaron Wiggins, but also from the people that you kind of rely on. Jalen Williams had a great game, and Chet Holmgren had a great game. What I really liked about it was the aggression. He went out there, and he, from the opening tap, was intent on making an impact, and he did.
I'll give you that. I'll give you Chet. Chet was, a lot more impactful, especially early on, really sort of set the tone. Jalen Williams, when things were close, was not good. Anything, he finished with 5 of 14 for 19 points. But it was exactly like it's everything that you wanted from a response game, and you just so happen to get the 18 points from Andrew Wiggins and the 12 from Alex Caruso. There was some conversation, you didn't hear this during the broadcast, about why Tyrese Halliburton wasn't more aggressive. Like that, it's a little bit of a head scratcher for me that people say that, is because he is, like we said, he's the point guard, right? He really gets going if somebody else gets going with him, but it's never really been Tyrese, just go get yours. And so this idea that he needs to be the tone setter in terms of scoring, do you think that there's more there from him, or do you think this is pretty much his role the entire time?
Well, I mean, I think it's fair to expect him to be aggressive when the offense isn't operating, right? Like, I think that's the big thing, is that I get it. And you know, we went through this when I was in Phoenix with Steve Nash, where Steve wanted to set people up. Steve didn't want to be aggressive offensively, but like, I can't remember how many times used to say this on the broadcast. Steve Nash senses the moment, and he senses like, yo, it's not working. So now I have to unveil like what probably could have been a 25 point per game scorer his entire career if that were his everyday mentality. Tyrese has a lot of things that reminds me of Steve Nash in that way, and that he wants to impact the game as a facilitator and as someone who's kind of touching different parts of that aren't necessarily captured in a box score.
Right.
But there has to be that recognition of, we don't have it going. I need to do something. Now, some people might say he trusts his teammates. He trusts them to, you know, if he keeps facilitating for them, they're going to get it going. And like, the crazy thing is the building was nervous the whole time. Like, yeah, they were up 20, but like every time they would hit like a Neesmith 3 here or an and 1 there from Siakam, and it's like everyone just started getting.
So it's like they learned their lesson from not being as alert from game one. But the part about Tyrese, though, it's almost like because he knew his team could make a huge comeback at any time, that he didn't really have to push the panic button. It's like when he finally did push the panic button, might have been a little bit too late.
A little too late. But also, let's be honest, they got what they came for in terms of the split. So right now they are, even as after a pretty tough loss tonight, they're still kind of feeling about like, yeah, we achieved the mission, so to speak. And you go back to Indiana for 2, and we'll see how it goes there. Again, Izzy, I got to go back to, would love to have seen what this series would look like if we were still doing the 2-3-2.
Yeah, that
right?
added
Like
a whole lot
scenario?
of elements to like to break down a series back when it was 2-3-2. Like now when it's 2-2, 1-1-1, it's like it seems more fair. So there's not a whole lot of roller coastery to go around. It's a little bit more drama back then. But in terms of Indy, like what sort of strategic game plan has to change for them to keep Alex Caruso and Andrew Wiggins from going off? Because obviously they're not going to stop Shea. Like Shea's going to get somewhere between 30 and 40. And if, 40 plus if he's having a great night. But it feels like they can control Jalen Williams. It feels like Chet Holmgren's not really going to explode for you. So if you can keep those guys off the board, like how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, the simple answer is I don't think you can. I think that's what you live with. If you're Indiana, you say, I live with that. Look, Alex Caruso going to have to, I'll live with that, right? Aaron Wiggins going to come in and hit a bunch of threes. I'll live with that. You got to live with it. I think the part that's a little bit more difficult is, first of all, it's not like you helped out on Shea much. And I got to shout out Eddie Johnson on this one. He said, I get that the strategy is we're going to guard Shea one-on-one, but maybe every once in a while, just to mix it up, just to surprise him. Like we're just gonna watch this slow march down the drain. And then the other part of it is, again, like Chet Holmgren really put his imprint on the game. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this. The two big lineup, right? What they ended up doing is that they basically ran it a bunch when Siakam wasn't on the floor. And so that kind of alleviates some of the issues as far as, hey, if we're going too big, does that mean we've got Chet on Siakam, and Siakam being a lot more kind of laterally mobile,
right,
might present problems. But in those minutes where those guys ran together, I'm trying to find the details. From my kind of like my naked eye, the two big lineup was tremendous for them tonight.
Can you help me out with something? I know I was watching on TV. You were watching it there. What I saw, because we talked about the NBA Finals trophy being on the floor, or at least the Finals logo, some sort of like the fancy graphic. Today, turned on the game, and there were two kind of tiny logos on the floor. It seemed like, and it clearly wasn't real. It clearly wasn't put on the floor, right? You didn't see logos on the floor, right? Okay.
I'm looking at the floor right now. There are no logos on it.
It seemed like they didn't want to make them any bigger than the advertisements that were on the floor, that were showing on the floor, because they weren't bigger than any of those. And then, oddly, and they're also both facing the same direction, which people, when you're watching on TV, you're just like, well, obviously you should have one. The crowd should be facing the crowd on each side, so it should be the opposite way.
If you look at like, so right now I'm looking at their floor. I believe this is true of every NBA floor. Hey, how's it going? They're good. So
say hello
every NBA, every NBA floor has all the signage, all the logos, everything, all face the cameras.
Okay.
So if you're sitting on the bench, I'm sitting pretty much behind where the Thunder bench was. And so the TV cameras are there because the TV cameras are always facing the benches. All the things on the floor are going to be facing the cameras. So that was accurate for them to put them both facing that way.
Okay.
The part that's crazy is I did see like a little video. I think Arash Markazi posted it. And he said, how can you tell? It was like his caption was, how can you tell it's digitally imposed? And, you know, they're waving like the OKC flag. And then you see it kind of just pop up, superimposed on the flag and superimposed on other things. Yeah. And that's the problem with that kind of makeshift style kind of solution is you're bound to run into those.
You made it worse,
and
oddly, late in the game when it was pretty much out of hand. I know this because I switched the game from the big TV to the little TV. Then they went with the logo.
On the big TV?
Yeah, no, the big TV was it was the Last of Us. I'm trying to catch up on that. And so, yeah, the little TV, and I saw the logo on there, the Finals in script, and I was like, well, that's weird, because if people were wondering if it was real and maybe had a question mark in their head, now they know for sure during that timeout they didn't just switch it to the Finals logo. I don't really know what they were doing there. It's probably the biggest mistake Adam Silver's ever made.
So you switched to The Last of Us. You missed the Johnny Furphy minutes.
No, oddly enough, I saw it. He fouled Shea, which is amazing. Like first seconds on the floor. And Furphy. Are we sure that's a real name?
Dude, it's like fake Murphy, right? Isn't that what that is?
Yes, it's exactly that. Back to the basketball. I mean, what do we think of the series now? Because like we've shaken off the rust. We've gotten the first two games out of the way. Indiana, the first game, the crazy comeback sort of masked the idea that they don't really seem to have a consistent offensive flow.
Right.
So do you see that changing in any way when they get to Indiana?
No, this is how they've been all year long. So I don't see anything changing. And again, like this is the part where, you know, everyone loves to overreact to a game one loss, but yeah, man, OKC over time is going to prove itself to be the better team because that's how this thing works. That's why we don't play single elimination in the playoffs. While we have a little bit of time, I did want to shout out Don Nelson won the Chuck Daly Lifetime Achievement Award. It's the award that the NBA Coaches Association gives out. There was two really important things that came out of this press conference. Number one, this is the first time for him on the mainland in 7 years.
Wow.
And the first time he's wearing shoes in 6 years.
Wow.
The shoes he wore are Luka Doncic's Jordans. And he said, I'm wearing them in protest of the trade.
Yes.
So that's one. The other thing, and this is huge, he told a story about how they drafted Dirk and how they flew him into a secret workout. Nobody knew, and they tried to hide him, and they were worried. And on draft day, like, they made the trade, obviously, to trade it down from 6 to 9 with Milwaukee. Now, here's the part I didn't know. He said, my favorite player in the draft was Paul Pierce. We all thought Paul Pierce would be a top 3 pick and wouldn't even be like an option. So imagine their surprise when at 9, Dirk's on the board, which is their guy, the guy that they went through all these pains to kind of hide and stash, basically. But also, Paul Pierce is on the board.
Wow.
And so Don Nelson is like, him and Donnie, he's told Donnie, like, oh, shit, what do we do? And Donnie was like, look, man, we kind of did all this shit to get this German kid. Like, we can't back out now. And that's how Dirk Nowitzki ended up to be a Maverick, and Paul Pierce ended up being a Celtic.
Wow,
So I thought that
made
was
the
a
right
cool story.
choice. Let's be honest. Made the right choice. Can I tell you my experience from watching Don Nelson get the award? Man, they played this still shot, or it wasn't a still shot. It was a video of him and Rick Carlisle accepting the award, and they were sitting there, and they kept the camera on him for about 30 seconds too long. I mean, it was just, I was like, all right, let's get the camera off of Mr. Don Nelson here. And then making matters worse, because, I mean, I don't know what the hell Don was wearing. Making matters worse, they cut to him in the crowd. He had some popcorn, food all in the corner of his mouth. And then they kept on that one for longer than they should have, too. Nah, I wouldn't be too happy with these producers and directors if I was Don Nelson today.
All right, it's time for Against the Spread. It's presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Mike, take it away.
Going to the Club World Cup that opens on Saturday night. I know we have a watch party out at Grails this weekend, Saturday night, for the kickoff of the Club World Cup. It's happening at Hard Rock Stadium. The Club World Cup is. It's Inter Miami versus Al Ahly. I'm going to be taking Al Ahly plus a half goal in this competition. Al Ahly's been in South Florida acclimating for a little bit. Meanwhile, Argentina have a big-time World Cup qualifier against Colombia this week. I think tired legs for Inter Miami. They are in season after all, while Al Ahly has been one of the more decorated clubs on the planet and have performed well in previous incarnations of the Club World Cup when it was a much smaller competition. If you Google it, you might see a return that says, this is the most decorated club in the world in all competitions. They are a dominating force, and they have really good players, including a really good goalkeeper. That's their team captain. I like Al Ahly here to at the very least, tie this game. And if they do, that's an against the spread winner. So I'm taking Al Ahly against the spread.
Tony.
I'm going to be in the National Hockey League. We got a big game tonight at the Barn up in Sunrise. I'm going to be taking the Edmonton Oilers plus 1.5 on the puck line because Panthers play tight games. Also, whatever team I bet, the other team wins. So we're going Edmonton.
Chris is giving you the side eye on that.
No, he likes it.
At first, I didn't like it, but I see what he's doing there.
He got the reason.
Little gymnastics
for the mental crowd.
Against the
spread.
I feel bad for Juju because on Thursday Thunder, which is much different from against the spread, it's nothing like against the spread.
Different.
It's a different thing. He again went 2 for 3, and the third leg, OKC on the money line. Yeah. He keeps going 2 for 3. It's just heartbreaking. Juju, I'm sorry that this keeps happening to you, but welcome to the show. I want to talk about a number of different things with you, including the fights from this weekend. Is the Sean O'Malley thing over now?
It's over. It's over if Merab Dvalishvili is the champion. Yeah, the Sean O'Malley experience is completely over. Merab, we're in the situation, Juju. We're in the time of his career where we have to start having a conversation about Merab as one of the great bantamweight champions on the planet.
O'Malley, though, looked so physically small. Just looked like he did not have the size and strength to do anything.
I think the issue is he was expecting Merab is going to try and take me down 800 times over 5 rounds. Merab came out swinging with some fierce kicks, punches, and I don't think that and Juju, you watched too. Like, what do you think? Sean O'Malley came out and got a couple hits where it was like, oh shit, I did not expect this from Merab whatsoever. They tired him out in that third round, and then all of a sudden it was over.
Right. The dangers of the second match, the rematch, where you go in thinking, all right, I got this guy figured out. And my boy Merab was over there training a whole different game plan because he know you was going to be looking at the hand, and the hand is way quicker than the eye. Salute to Merab. Also salute to Kayla Harrison.
Wow, what a big one.
Getting the belt. All right, big submission over the champ, you feel me? But she also fought Amanda Nunes out of retirement, setting up a blockbuster match down the road. What you think about that, Tom?
I was surprised that it was so quick. It felt like, right? Like there was a back and forth where Juliana really didn't have any answers for, and then it was. And what I mean quick is the Kimura that got set up and executed. It was against the cage, so we couldn't really see what the offhand was happening. So we saw Kayla Harrison on top. We saw her trying to move in position, and then all of a sudden you see the tap, and then you see on the other side the Kimura where her arm is basically like out of place. Juliana's a great. We love Juliana. Been on the show with them. Hang on me and Juju before. She's just not at the level of what a Kayla Harrison can do at her top, at her peak. And now we're going to see Amanda Nunes out of retirement versus Kayla Harrison. That's going to be an absolute banger, like Juju said. Again, shout out to the Venezuelan Vixen, but She said she calls dibs on who's got next, and I think that's probably fair because there's nobody else in the division.
Right. Also, too, in the WBO this weekend, Keyshawn Davis, man, he had an embarrassing weekend. He missed weight, got stripped of his title, didn't get the fight against the brother. The other brother still got his purse, so salute. But he was on a fight card with his other two little brothers. Little brother got beat up. No, big brother got beat up. Little brother won. They got into an altercation backstage. Keyshawn Davis is a bad weekend for Keyshawn Davis and the Keyshawn Davis brand. Hopefully that brother clean it up ASAP.
We got to get Juju's thoughts on Greg Cody's pinky ring. Chris Cody, have you reached out to your mother? Has she answered whether she would come on with us and talk about the wedding ring fiasco?
She is too busy to join today. She did acknowledge that it broke 7 to 10 years ago, and I basically followed up with, what are your thoughts on him to this day still not wearing one? I will let you know when she responds.
Okay, hopefully we'll get that for punctuation on the show. She's very busy doing important things when she's not taking care of this toddler, the third of her toddlers. What did you think, Juju, about the whole Panky ring discussion?
Bro, I got 2 words for the whole and deep dive into Greg Cody's pinky ring investigation. Player haters. What are we doing to my boy? Like, hey, Greg, so what does your wife think about you wearing pinky rings and no way? Brothers, what are we doing? Now my boy got to go home and answer real life questions behind y'all boys playing. We can't be playing like this with my boy. Come on, bro. I'm on your team, Greg. I mean, whatever you want to wear.
Yes.
Go ahead, bro.
Thank you. Juju, you should be my attorney because you couldn't have said it any better to a jury in my defense. That was excellent.
Open for business.
What's wrong with that?
Well, see, now finally.
I'm kidding.
Now that you
It's
admit
a
it, now we're
joke.
fine. Now
It's
that's
a joke.
Yes.
It's a joke.
Also, happy birthday to our loyal fan, Mike Mayo out there. I see you, brother. Keep doing your thing, man.
And happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
How we feeling about the poll questions today, Juju?
The poll questions, okay? I had some stuff set up.
I just got a response, Juju.
Hold on a second, Juju. The problem is I don't know what you had set up, but I'm guessing Dominique leaving here didn't help whatever it is that you had set up. So he had to tape something real quick. He'll be back in a second.
Juju, while you figure out the polls, I did get a response from my mom. I said, thoughts on him not wearing one still? ? Her response, I don't care.
Damn.
She's been in it too long, man.
Thank you, dear.
Is that a win? Like just indifference?
Why not? Why would she care? If she cared, I'd be wearing a wedding ring. Trust me.
And you know it.
And you do know it. Thank you.
Yeah, I
You
do.
agree with your catchphrase.
Yes.
Just to be clear, you
Yes.
agree. You agree with your catchphrase.
Yeah, Tony was right on the mark.
Okay. So thank you for all of your contributions today.
Thank you.
Dominique is coming back in here now to take whatever questions it is that you had for him that you were disappointed you were not able to ask him because he's very busy doing ESPN things and doing important national and international broadcasts. What did you have for Dominique, Juju?
Yes, I rarely get to ask professionals about some of this professional stuff. So I wanted to get your thoughts on the Packers releasing Jair Alexander.
Yeah, I mean, it
What
was
does that
shocking.
mean?
Shocking because he's a great player, and I assume that has to do with money, as it normally does with teams like that. But it's incredibly difficult to be a top-tier corner for an extended period of time. I think the Packers are one of the smarter organizations and try to get out from under those before it's too late. So Zaires dealt with a bunch of injuries lately. I think it's probably about finding a way to maintain as much talent as they can without committing too much to a player that they don't see in their long-term.
But he played 7 regular season games the last 2 seasons, and Mark Murphy, their president, is saying that they're used to playing without him.
Yeah.
So it's cold.
Yeah. I mean, it's injuries. It happens to all of them. And you'll see one of the rare things about corners is you see guys who are dominant for like a short stretch, and then all of a sudden they're mediocre. It's a tough position.
This is not good. Dolphins love an injury-prone corner.
I was just going to say, does he have any life left in his career? Because the Dolphins desperately need a cornerback.
I mean, he definitely has life left.
In his career. What are we talking about?
He's injury-prone.
He played 7 games.
7 games in 2 years
He's got a
doesn't.
little mileage on him. I mean,
It's not dead.
That doesn't beg questions about whether he can still do this.
It does to me.
Okay, he just got done saying one of the best corners. It's an elite skill set.
Best ability, Dan?
Can you be one of the best corners if you played 7 games in 2 years?
Well,
okay, he's nodding yes.
Well,
yeah. I mean, I think it's such a difficult position. You notice if you heading up to the draft every year, you look at every team's needs. Every team, it feels like every year, needs corners and tackles. It's one of the most difficult things to find. So even if, in the same way with quarterbacks, like we just had this conversation about Aaron Rodgers, where the Steelers fans and the players and the coaches are willing to take the risk on a player that's obviously not in his prime because it's so hard to find someone who can reach that level. I think the same thing is true for cornerback. And a less important position, maybe by a little bit, I get it. But if you show the ability to get to that level, what it does for your defense, so much of this game is focused around passing. If you have a corner that you can put over there on the number one and say, all right, we're good. He's going to win some, he's going to lose some, but it's not going to debilitate our defense. It allows you to use resources so many other places. That flexibility for just 7 games, 10 games, how many games you can get it for is incredibly valuable.
You have to use more resources on more corners because he's playing 3 games this season.
Also, Nick Chubb to the Texans. Does that mean anything big, or is this the twilight of his career?
Yeah, he's dealt with a lot of injuries in a different position. That feels like a little twilight situation. That's where, Greg, you could ask about life left in a career. Like he had a serious injury at a position that is much easier to find replacements for. So I think it's
he's young though, isn't he? Like that's not. I don't think of him as old. That's not.
His knee went the wrong way, Dan.
Twice, I think.
Sony Michel's been out of the league. Like he's been in the league for a long time, and he's had a lot of bad injuries dating back to his college days. Pulling for him though. If anybody can pull it off and have their body bounce back from all the knee injuries, not enough was made by what a dirty hit that was that really sidetracked his career and might end up ending it if he doesn't ever turn into old form. But he's one of the easiest guys to root for.
Before we get to the poll updates, one of the frustrations that Greg Cody has around here is that on Tony Kornheiser's show, he's allowed more space to be the smarter him that he obviously and often is in print. So, Greg, do you have any thoughts today on the death of amateurism being official? Because you have declared it so, that we have finally reached the official end of amateurism in sports.
Right. I mean, the federal judge basically authenticated the truce that had come between the NCAA and the colleges, and right now they're going to move forward paying players. And now, and that's all sports, okay? Obviously, football and basketball is going to get the bare share of that, but even if you're a softball player now or a college golfer, you're entitled to get money. You're entitled to negotiate for money. And it's we always used to think of college as the professional league in waiting, the pipeline to the pros. Now, in effect, college is the pros because a lot of these college players, and we saw it with NIL beginning a few years ago, the college quarterback now who's a superstar can make as much money or more than some of the backup.
You don't like it? Softball television is giant, and now NIL for a softball player at Texas Tech will go for $1 million.
Right.
Like that's it's the going rate for television streaming.
I mean, to Greg's point, I think that a lot of us who have been advocating for athletes getting paid are happy that it's happening. But I think you also have to appreciate that nothing in life is free. And there are some costs to making that advancement. And we have to appreciate that some of the things that we've grown accustomed to, some of the things that we like about it, and I'm starting to come to terms with it myself, is like, yes, I want more justice, but I know that some things about this will be different. The idea of guys transferring to where they can get more money, I wouldn't rarely say in public, but I don't like it. It kind of rubs me the wrong way. I want them to be free, but I also want my shit to be fun and good.
Let's free. He's advocating here
I'm
for
not,
less
I'm
freedom
not.
on labor.
Keep them free.
You heard him.
Keep them free.
Less free.
Keep them free.
percentage
also,
of less free.
I'll say one of the topics that I end up on my show a lot is like the professionalization of youth sports. And as the college ranks gets more professional, the younger ranks get more professional, and I think we always assume that that's going to be better. It's not. It's worse. Like, it makes for robots as athletes. It makes for less personality, and I think it also limits the. Like, you see Yannick Sinner. One of the reasons why Yannick Sinner is as incredible as he is because he was a world-class skier also. There are different skills. Like, if you look at the best players in all these different sports, so many of them have taken unique paths. And when we make professional sports, or we make youth sports professional sports where you're playing year-round, you got to get extra coaching. They're telling you the exact right way to play. It sucks all the creativity out of the game, which is why, like, I know those who like football or soccer will recognize that Brazilian players come from a different style of play, which is why they're so damn fun to watch. And then we see these other robots. So all this stuff, I think we often think of everything in life as zero-sum, win or lose. Like, we get it or we don't get it. I think it's important to understand that there are always trade-offs. Even the things that you want, with it is going to come some drawbacks and some side effects that you don't love.
And another trade-off, which isn't spoken about much, is that this is going to cause a reduction in scholarships and roster size.
Let's get to those poll questions here because I do find it funny that you guys are talking like now. I don't know where the line is. I really don't on where it becomes objectionable. But I'm going to say the line is whenever it is that Dominique sounds like my grandfather complaining on behalf.
I'm not complaining
on behalf of youth sports. We got to get a little less freedom for the labor so that someone else can raise my kid correctly. What do you have for us on poll questions, Juju?
Also, welcome back, R-Truth. Heroic return, Money in the Bank. We didn't mention that at all.
We didn't.
Wow. Better language, Spanish or French? 75% of the audience says Spanish.
Not even close.
And last poll, we only had 2 polls. Are ratings for dorks? 86% of the audience says yes, they are.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Tony. A giant victory for you. Alley-oop, after every after every basketball game in the playoffs, the rest of the way on our YouTube channel. Juju, good talking to you.
Yes, sir. NBA logo. Keep it on the court. Finals logos.